Penalties. Start your engines!
Ready. Green flag, green flag. All rolling.
All the way out. Stay in, stay in, stay in. Come on, come on, come on. Bye-bye, come in. See you later.
These guys are really good.
Keep digging. Stay in the gas.
Hang on, dude, baby.
Did not hit a thing.
Why are you waiting so long, man? Bottom clear, shaking you down here. White flag, hit your mark.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. Sorry, I'm a bot apparently. Welcome on in, everybody, to another episode of NWP. I'm gonna get it out of the way right now. Yes, I am
sound
sick.
like a robot.
I am sick.
I am sick.
I am the Senate. But I'm all good. Other than that, we're good. I just might sound pretty ugly to your ears. But let's talk about I don't know, guys. Let's talk. What do we have to talk about this week? We have some stuff that might be announced later.
Can we ease into it? It's been such an exhausting week. Do people even realize it's championship week? That 3 champions will be crowned in 2 days, starting in 2 days. No one's talking about that. We got Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin mean mugging in the courtroom. We've got penalties, appeals, non-appeals. We've got Elton Sawyer every day holding press conferences. Where do we start, Jarrett? Where should we start tonight's stream?
We've got Joey Logano expected to win the state of Georgia.
Calling it now. He's going to come out of nowhere as he always does. He's inevitable.
I know the perfect place to start. Martin Truex Jr. is running a throwback to his 2004 DEI car.
That's a great place to start. The color is beautiful. Cool to see that on a modern scheme. That's a great place to start. Where are Martin Truex Jr. fans in the chat? Give us some fish emojis. I assume there's got to be like a bass emoji somewhere, right? I wouldn't know.
Like it.
Hit us with it.
Well, let's jump on into it. I think let's talk about, what do we call it? Bellgate, Byron Gate, Fixgate,
Crossover gate.
I like crossover gate. That might actually be a good one. The finish of the Martinsville race. So for those who have been living under a rock, I'll let you know that there is a lot of controversy. 27 minutes worth of post-race controversy on the broadcast even of the finish of this race. While Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson are having a hell of a battle up front, racing for the win, putting a nice, I love saying it like this, now all of a sudden, now I think about it, a nice bow tie at the end of this race. We have the last spot up for grabs between William Byron and Christopher Bell. Now, behind William Byron, there is Austin Dillon in the 3, and Ross Chastain in the 1, side by side, kind of blocking the racetrack. You have Christopher Bell, who's a lap down, who can only make up 1 spot if he gets past Toyota teammate Bubba Wallace, and all hell breaks loose. You have Byron making it to the line. Bell catches up to Bubba, kind of semi half of the wall, rides out of 4 and into contention. And of course, they penalize Bell for the wall ride and save the rest of the stuff for this week.
After spending half an hour allegedly reviewing whether or not Bell rode the wall. Just want to add that little detail in there.
And I think we'll start with that. Eric, I'm going to pass to you before my voice completely goes out.
Yes, please do.
Stint.
I feel like we're torturing you here. I'm so sorry.
No, I don't feel any pain at all. Maybe people can hear like the cough drop in my mouth, but I feel fine. It's just like my voice just said, nah, I don't feel like it today.
I get it.
I want to know, what did you think NASCAR handled it right for the at the track part to start with?
Oh, I didn't think you were going to ask me that. Did they handle it right at the track? I think they made the right call at the track in the moment. I think they waited way too long to get there. And I think their messaging, once they made the decision, was faulty. I think to wait 30 minutes and then to admit, oh, we didn't even look at the team radios, the possible race manipulation, that's going to leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth. It was clear to me that there were a couple of gray area calls that could be made, which they ultimately made on Tuesday, but there was only one black and white call, in the picture, and that's the one they zeroed in on. Thank goodness, I've heard other people say this. Thank goodness Christopher Bell rode the wall out of 4, or else NASCAR would have had a much bigger brouhaha to sort through Sunday night before NBC went off the air. So I think they made the right call day of. The Bell call was the only black and white ruling they could make, but they shouldn't have waited 30 minutes, and they shouldn't have explained their reasoning the way they did. I think that left a sour taste in a lot of fans' mouths.
What say you, Danny?
Yeah, I think they made the right call of Bell, that he definitely did ride the wall. He made every move he could to avoid Bubba, and really, it don't make sense why he rode the wall, because he already had Bubba passed, and I think I saw the 48 go around, but I don't think he was on the lead lap at that
Yeah,
time.
I don't think he had anyone else for position near him. I think he just panicked a little bit.
He very much panicked, because he definitely went faster, once he had hit the wall than what he was going, because he definitely slowed down coming in to pass Bubba, and then went to the wall and just rode it out. And it's like, I think NASCAR, why it took so long to review it, is that when they set the Chastain precedent after Chastain happened, you couldn't say nothing to Chastain at the time, but when they set this after it happened, I don't think NASCAR had enough faith that someone would try it only 2 years later. I don't think they did.
No, it was a perfect storm, I think, that led to Bell making that mistake. I think Bell just overdrove the corner because he saw that was the position, got desperate, made a mistake, and then I just think he lost his head in that moment. Either he forgot the rule or he wasn't sure how far back. I think Stenhouse maybe was the only other guy for position, but I don't think he was particularly close. He just panicked, but I think he clearly rode the wall. It wasn't nearly as egregious or as dangerous, in my opinion, as what Ross Chastain did. He didn't gain any positions riding the wall. You could argue he held his position by riding the wall, but the way NASCAR defined it after 2022 was clear, black and white. He broke the rule. And so I don't have a problem with NASCAR's call in the moment. It sucks to have a championship 4 spot effectively come down to that. But again, it sort of saved NASCAR from having to make a much harder call in the moment Sunday night, which is, I guess, now we can maybe transition into what they did ultimately decide on Tuesday.
Yes. Wow, my voice sounds a little better. Well, with this, what they announced yesterday was the 1, 3, and 23. They'd have their team exec, crew chief, and spotter suspended for Phoenix. Each team, I believe each team and driver fined $100,000, and each team would lose 50 driver owner points to that. I'll put it in the chat, probably just a yes or no answer with a poll here. But I kind of want to pose a question to you guys. Jump on it, whoever wants to. Is this too harsh? Not harsh enough? Perfect? Goldilocks on it? Or where do you guys kind of fall in this range of reaction?
I think it was, it's hard to say because I don't think there was, outside of the Austin Dillon radio, I don't think there was 100% damning evidence over the radio that they clearly manipulate. I think they did all manipulate the race, but it wasn't as egregious as what Stuart Haas's team tried to pull over in 2022 at the Roval. When why is the crew chief on the opposite end of the track radioing his driver, "Hey, you got a flat tire"? Like, that was so blatant. I don't think anything on Bubba or Chastain's radio, at least, was that blatant. But past precedent says it's a $200,000 fine, some suspensions, 50 points. So I think the penalty was more or less in line with the precedent they set in 2022. But to your point or your question, is it harsh enough? I don't think it's harsh enough to deter future manipulation attempts. Clearly, the 2022
Agreed.
penalty didn't deter the 2024 attempts. So what's interesting, though, is what Elton Sawyer said today. Hey, in the future, we may look at writing into the rule book how we can penalize the OEMs for something like this. What does that look like? How far are they willing to go? Are you willing to punish Chevy, Ford, and Toyota as crucial of industry stakeholders as they are? That all remains to be seen. I think they talked a good game today, but the actual penalty on paper is not a good enough deterrent on its own.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I said on Sunday that I think it should have been penalizing both of the teams involved. taking them both out. Whether that means
Like,
you have a final 3 or you put Larson in ahead of.
so you would have also punished Byron and Bell.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, Byron, there was no communication, he didn't do anything. I mean, then under that logic, because I feel like that's the playing dumb logic, then the 1 and the 3 were just doing that out of the kindness of their hearts. No, I mean, Truex Jr. didn't have any radio communication whatsoever in Spingate, and he was taken out of the playoffs in 2013. I feel like that's a much closer comparison to what we have here. I personally think this is way worse than Spingate because of where in the season it is, how big of teams are all involved, multiple like that. And I think that they've talked about with the OEMs. I mean, these OEMs basically operate as 3 giant teams now. It is way different than 2013.
Yes. It just feels so blatantly obvious that I don't necessarily think this wasn't necessarily brought in by Rick Hendrick or Hendrick Motorsports, or something like that. But Chevrolet had a vested interest because Byron was their only hope to get a team to compete for the Cup Series championship at that time. So whoever it came down from, that's an order by somebody to manipulate the race finish.
I
think that's why I think I had too many people getting mad at me because I said the reason that this whole BS system makes me mad is that Byron just gets the benefit off this, just no repercussion. And it's like I'm not mad at Byron per se. I'm just mad that we're in this crappy situation that he can just do whatever and just benefit from it.
Well, to your point earlier, Jarrett, about basically NASCAR is now 3 giant teams. I think that is correct. And we've talked about it that way at super speedways for years. For years, it's the Fords working together, the Chevys. It's not just, how's Joe Gibbs Racing going to team up today? It's like, no, all the Toyotas are going to draft together, going to pit together, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, but now that conversation is trickling into all sorts of racing. It's true. Kyle Larson is expected to help out Austin Dillon if Austin Dillon needs it, and Chevrolet needs it. They're not teammates, but they're Chevy teammates. So that's where it gets complicated. Is NASCAR has in the rule book mechanisms to penalize teams for this kind of thing. Like in Michael Waltrip Racing's case 11 years ago, that was one team effectively manipulating the finish of that Richmond race. This was 5 teams involved, but for 2 manufacturers. So it's like you now need to reword the rule book, which it sounds like they might do, which gives me some hope that this will deter future attempts. But until we actually see it in action, until NASCAR's actions match their words, I'm not convinced this was a harsh enough penalty.
I don't think NASCAR. I don't have faith in NASCAR doing that because I think
I'm skeptical.
Well, and I put it out there earlier this week. I think NASCAR is third fiddle at running their own organization. I think TV and manufacturer takes precedence. The OEMs put so much money. I mean, people, will complain left and right about like Toyota's everywhere at the track and all these commercials because they pour a lot of money in on top of their influence with the teams. And NASCAR wanting to play chicken with the people that fund them. This is the same way with TV. I don't see them doing that. And I think they pull a very similar way of going about this as to the way that they negotiated the new TV deal. Yes, they got a lot more money, but they sacrificed exposure for money. There's less races now that will be on mainline television, Fox and NBC, than there would have been otherwise. They picked the money over the fan and the exposure. And I think in this instance, they'll do the same thing. They might posture, they might say they'll do something and maybe like look a little tougher, but they are not going to go after somebody who essentially runs a sport above them. And that's the way I see it at this point.
That's an interesting comparison, actually, and I don't think you're necessarily off base. Yeah, NASCAR had 2 options here. They could have either kind of just accepted defeat and said, hey, team orders, manufacturer orders are a thing in every other major motorsport. We've tried to prevent it here, but there's only so much we can do. We officiate hands off. We're going to be hands off from here on out. They could have picked that and just said, hey, the call on the field stands is what it is. But instead, no, they are attempting to still wage war against team orders. And to your point, Jared, is like, have they enabled themselves to actually enforce the rules at the highest level? And I don't know that they have enough authority, frankly, to do it. I think part of the reason we're in this mess to begin with is because teams don't really think NASCAR has that much authority. They question it at the very least. They're willing to push the issue, put them in those awkward positions. So they talked a big game today, but their actions are going to have to back that up. And, we'll have to wait and see.
To me, as long as we have the system we have, the manufacturers and the teams have completely figured out how to break it. They've figured out how to break it, whether it be super speedways, whether it be at Martinsville multiple times now. We've seen Toyota do something like this. Granted, it's simple of, oh, hey, don't pass them, or hey, go back and pass them. But to me, as long as we have this in place, we're going to see the same exact thing. And I know a lot of people, well, we'll just switch it and do like, one race at the start and then a round of 3-3-3, then you're just going to run the same thing at the finale. I think NASCAR's made it to the point that they have opened up this book and Pandora's box of every one of these cut line races is going to deal with this in some way, and I think it's only going to get worse. It's the way it's been led. They've kind of, with no points really mattering for the championship, kind of proofed it away from that, unless there's a team out, and then there's a little lesser extent with like the Penske teams where Blaney basically team orders was not allowed to pass Logano. I know they necessarily never said that, but we all could see it. So the way I see it right now is like this is how it's going to be. If the OEMs want this, if NASCAR does not change the system in any way, we're just going to have to deal with the fact that once a few manufactured cars get in between each other, it's all over, and we're basically just counting the laps down or hoping for a BS caution. Like that's kind of how I see it at this point. I think a change needs to be made. I've been ringing that bell forever. I know some people said like you can't do the 10 race chase because that's how Spingate happened, but Spingate also was put in place because of a very similar option, a cutoff race, and it had to do a lot with the win part of the wild card in that rather than points themselves. I'd say that's the best happy medium, but if NASCAR is going to die on this hill, and more importantly, if NBC is going to die on this hill, then we are stuck with this for the foreseeable future. That's how I see it. It's doom and gloom, but it's realistic to me at this point.
Again, if their actions back up their talk, then I do think this will deter teams. I mean, the NASCAR also threatened to suspend drivers in the future. So I think that could end up being enough of a deterrent. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm not confident, but also, Spingate happened in 2013. We've seen smaller examples like the Don't Pass Him Jones in 2020 that happened. We've seen other kind of weird manipulative deals like Harvick at Talladega in 2015 trying to wreck the field to bring out a caution to save his spot, or Harvick in 2020 spinning Kyle Busch at that Martinsville race. We see little deals like that. Chevy mad at Parker Retzlaff at Daytona a few weeks back. Like there are little things here and there, but this is really only the third big kerfuffle in the last 11 years. So we don't want this to become a more frequent trend, but hopefully, fortunately, I should say, it hasn't been uber frequent up to this point. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, about the format,
serious with it.
The current format absolutely allows there to be more opportunities for this to happen because there are more quote unquote cutoff desperation races. This could actually back up in some people's idea of having Talladega or Daytona be cutoff races, just because it's harder then. Yes, you can line up as a manufacturer and whatnot, but like there's already team orders at Daytona and Talladega. So what's really going to change necessarily? I don't know. What if we move Talladega to the round of 12 cutoff once again and see what happens?
Or I totally see them doing a round of 8 cutoff. I mean, that's 1 week now.
Could next year.
Changing it. And but to me, and I think I've seen this from a lot of people, and the crazy thing for me that wows me, that catches my attention, is that this isn't just us on YouTube talking about it. This is Brad Keselowski talking about this. This is Dale Earnhardt Jr. and co. trying to find a way to make a different system to try and cut this off. This is different people in the media questioning NASCAR and questioning. I mean, I saw an opinion piece from Front Stretch today saying Brian France had better leadership. Now, I personally think it's both awful and equally bad. I think nothing's really changed, and Jim France was probably running it all along in the background. But we're at the point that say what you want. I think the integrity argument has been lost a long time ago with this system. We have reached a point where now those actively in the sport on the outside and inside are questioning it. I mean, we're looking at it now where we had all 16 drivers polled, and half of them, the majority of them, did not like the system or did not have faith in it. I don't have faith in the system. I don't have faith in NASCAR leadership because I think they will take the quick buck over the integrity part of it, because that's where they box themselves in over time with Brian France, now Jim France. And I think the closest way you can fix this is a 10 race chase with the stage points involved, rewarding way more points, and for the team's sake, maybe money for victories, so you incentivize wins, because nowadays they say money is what really matters in this. Look at Austin Dillon and what he would do for that extra money of a playoff spot.
Money.
Yeah, I mean, we're going Mr. Krabs fully on it. There are so many people, I think, who have lost faith with the way that things are going now, and it's very reminiscent of 2013 all over again, and we saw them have to completely redo it. And personally, from some I've talked to, it sounds like it's on the table, at least. Reckless speculation for you there. It sounds like it is.
I would be shocked if they make any major changes to the playoff format in the next 7 years. Small adjustments here and there.
Could start next year. I mean, 2013, we didn't hear anything about this new change until January of 2014 to what we have now. They can change it on a whim.
I know they could absolutely change it on a whim, no doubt. The addition of the mid-season tournament, I feel, is their big experiment for next year. We'll see. We'll see on that. A couple things you said there, Jarrett. I agreed with one of your final points and I think that's actually a decent take. You've brought up a couple of times now that NASCAR will chase money typically over anything else. And I think that's very true. They will side with whatever financial backer is most important to them. But then you got into, again, the playoffs. Are the playoffs legitimate? And that's a whole new debate we can have if we really want to. I don't know how much time we have, but y'all know where I stand on this. Is I don't feel the playoffs themselves have delegitimized the sport as much as people want to say. I still feel the playoffs, compared to, say, the Winston Cup era format, it's just a different way of looking at it. Absolutely, championships from 2001, 2002, 2003 should and will be viewed differently than championships won in the 2010s and 2020s, but that doesn't necessarily outright mean one is better than the other. Fans will believe one is better than the other, but they're both similar. They're both different. Before 2004, it was about survival for 30 plus races a year. Before that, it was about making sure your car doesn't fall apart in a 500-mile race. Now it's a little bit of that. You do have to survive to get at least to the round of 12, round of 8. You can get there on consistency, but once you get to these final 4 races, it's about being fast, and that's a difference. Matt Kenseth in 2003, he was able to blow a motor like 2 of the last 3 races of the year and still win a championship. So like crunch time, there was no clutch gene required in 2003. And I know some motorsports fans don't like to use words like clutch gene and stuff because that's a stick and ball sport reference. But, it's also a very American thing to talk about. And I think that's something NASCAR has always been a part of NASCAR's identity. So to say one is better than another or one's more legitimate than the other, I don't really entertain that argument because I just think that's very subjective, and there's no way to like outright definitively say one is a better format than the other.
The question, I think, doesn't even boil down maybe to that part. I personally don't think it is as legitimate because the reasoning it's put in is not in any way to crown who's best. It's obviously for entertainment. I mean, NASCAR as much as said that, but it's look at I want to ask the big long-term goals of putting this in. Has NASCAR accomplished any of those for growth? I keep hearing growth be a reason for the playoffs. What growth is there at this point? What have we attained at this point with it since 2014? We're down 40% in viewership. We have, we're up over last year. Last year was the lowest watched last 10 races in the last 25 years. So I really don't think that's the greatest litmus test. The drivers are at best lukewarm on it. The fans are at best at war on it with each other. Where is the real growth from any of this? Is it worth it to chase it at this point if after 10 10 years of this, if after 20 years of playoffs and post-race in general, like that's my big question with it, especially the last 10 years. Where is the actual growth that was promised? Where is that, being a juggernaut against the NFL that they wanted to be? None of that has come to fruition in any way, in my opinion.
I think obviously it hasn't grown in the last 10 or even 20 years, but it also hasn't exactly, the bottom hasn't fallen out any differently than the spring or summer races. Like ratings across the board, whether you're talking regular season or playoff races, are down roughly the same percentage year over year. So it's not like playoffs suddenly make people more it's roughly the same,
about 5% more.
It's roughly the same. They consider that flat in most ratings. So it's
down.
But the NFL has also gone up dramatically in the last 15, 20 years. So I'm sure the market shares, probably, it's all gone down, I guess, in that respect. But point is, I don't think the playoffs obviously haven't helped the sport grow. I don't think they've led to the sport's decline as much as some folks would like to imagine.
I'd say partially I get that. Like, I think retirement to drivers we talked about early on, but there's been, we kind of broke it down. I think the first year we started doing this show on like the pre and post Dale Jr. retirement, and that's like the ADBC year. I feel like in modern NASCAR, it really is. I mean, if you look at the changes they've made
before Chase,
yes, something like that.
Yes, and to my point of it is, it's been 6 years since Dale Jr. is retired, and we have no visible growth whatsoever, and we've changed everything about this sport. We've changed the cars, we've changed the marketing, we've changed in a lot of ways now the turnover of drivers. We've opened up a lot more, I would argue, with like the Netflix show for driver personality to get out there, which I think is one of the biggest marketing points. And we see
the most popular driver on that.
Yeah, and we see the regular season for the most part has stabilized. It is sat around that 3 million line, and yes, while this year's been up, we have seen every single year post Dale Jr. until now, the playoffs have been down. And I'm not saying necessarily it's just TV, any of that. Attendance has been up, which means I think the core fan base is definitely there. It's just more, if the people are going to stick around, why not try to go either back or try something new that might be more of a legitimizing factor for those people? Because what we're doing now of questioning the full integrity of the sport when it comes to every single year, there is something about the playoffs. This year is special. There's multiple things we can point out about the Final Four in general. It's not going to help it. We'll get those short-term boosts, but it's more like a drug addict getting their fix. It's going to get them up, but you're never going to get that full high again. So I don't, I can concede that we're never going back to a full season, as much as I would love doing it. But I think we can hit that medium that will both make people happy, have the Game 7 moments, but at the same time can maybe more proof some of these kind of things. I mean, I'd say any competition aspect this year that we're questioning the legitimacy of NASCAR on, whether it be how Austin Dillon acted, how Joey Logano got through the different team orders at super speedways to try and help different cars like Kyle Busch for Chevrolet, this at Martinsville, all revolves around the point system and championship. And that can happen under any system, but there are some systems that are more proof to it than others. And I think that we have fully at this point, I don't think exposed is the right word. I think this is broke it at this point, because it's almost every single year now that we're talking about this.
I think the teams have gotten a lot smarter. They've learned how to manipulate it best. Back to why manipulation like this happens, why teams push the issue, why teams test NASCAR race control every week. I think it is partially the format. I think it's partially, this is the one thing I really do agree with you on, Jared, is that NASCAR sort of does not appear to have the authority. And then the other thing is just the business has gotten so different with all the manufacturers now. Again, we have kind of 3 super teams more. I think it's the format's definitely part of it. But yeah,
I piss off the OEMs. I mean,
anecdotally,
that is so important.
Anecdotally speaking, we do have, I guess we railed on the playoffs when Logano won 2 weeks ago. We were quick to dismiss the playoffs when, Tyler Reddick had his Game 7 moment a week ago. Ryan Blaney just had another Game 7 moment that I think we're witnessing the birth of two potential NASCAR stars right here because of their playoff prowess, Reddick, Blaney. And so, I'm just saying, not everyone's going to like the playoffs, but you got to take the good with the bad. Like there is still, I feel like it's unfair of fans to not acknowledge the added relevance the format has given NASCAR in October, November the past couple of years. There's a reason we celebrate 1992 because it was one in seven. It was the first time in 50, 60 years anything close to that had happened. And I just think in the modern age when the NFL is the juggernaut it is, you are going to have a hard time keeping people roped in September, October, November if the points aren't closer. So
I agree that
tough.
I think those did play a factor in them doing well, but I think it's also you can't not acknowledge that other systems would do similar things. Yes, you probably wouldn't have Ross Chastain doing a Hail Melon, but you could look then, I think, also at, we talked about the chase, Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, 2011. I would argue that championship battle holds much more weight in the eyes of modern fans than probably any of the last 10 years ending at Homestead or Phoenix with that, at least with a lot of them. And so you can have those moments still with other systems. I mean, hell, we had I would argue the closest, maybe best finish ever at Darlington 03 had nothing to do with the championship. That was two guys going for it all, going for a victory at NASCAR's, I argue, one of the most historic tracks. So I don't like, I will say this. I will concede the point that I do think the playoffs do add different moments and that shouldn't be overlooked. But I think it's also overlooked that these drivers are going to go for broke and go for glory, and they're going to go for a win. And, we can look at the non-playoff guys, I think, as an example of that. They by all technicality have nothing to gain from going for a win. Yet we see Kyle Busch biff it at Kansas off too. We see Ross Chastain and Chris Buescher, Shane Van Gisbergen on a part-time schedule going for it. So I still think we get these great moments, and you still can also have a championship that more drivers can get behind, that media isn't necessarily questioning as much, that fans aren't having this debate yearly on. And and you can then improve other aspects of the sport. Because I know, anecdotal, because I think that's one big one. And as we see Danny again, he's on the what was it, the damage camera policy, DCP here.
I'm here. It just keeps going out every now and again. Sorry, guys.
It's all good, buddy. It's all good. But I'll use an anecdotal evidence with Tree. Like, we brought him in 2021 to Daytona, him in 5 points, and they loved it. And it wasn't because of a championship. It wasn't because of different manipulations, anything like that. It was just like that. It was that race. That individual race. Yes. Oh, yeah. And I think that's something that's missing today. Like, we say, like, I kind of look at it like this. Like, we say, like, the Daytona 500 is very special to us. And for us NASCAR fans, historically it is. Remove the history aspect. What is special about that race? What is the broadcast doing different to about that race live? What is really different about the racing live compared to any other race? And I think you've kind of lost something with that. And I don't think it's necessarily the playoffs that do that, but that's an aspect you can, as NASCAR, focus on rather than the championship. Each race meaning something more and being promoted more, rather than us promoting, I would argue, 4 races at the end of the year, because the first couple races of these rounds are big and they talk about it, but it's the cut rounds that you see they put like the extra effort and stuff like that. So
sure,
I almost think that fans and the broadcasters and NASCAR in part, I think we've almost overvalued how much the championship matters to making our sport big, and not as much to the smaller race by race aspects, which is one thing I think with the chase, where I can hit that middle ground on a playoff, but also having some kind of consistency. I mean, race by race, there was something to follow with the same 3 or 4 drivers. I remember last year of it, 2013, it was Jimmy and Matt Kenseth all the way to that Phoenix deal. And it wasn't a Game 7 moment, but if NASCAR wants to compare to these kind of stick and ball sports, some football games end with a kneel down. They might be close, but they end with a kneel down. So I think it's something that really needs to be looked at right now fully, because I don't think NASCAR in the next 7 years can grow in any meaningful way if every year we're talking about something that I think realistically does put in question NASCAR and the sport's legitimacy with manipulation, with crashing people at the finish like Kevin Harvick. The old guard is not innocent of any of this too, as much as Mark Martin wants to try and say. I agree to like 95% of what he said, but it's like the old guard did some pretty stupid stuff too. Like this is not just these youngsters doing it. It's all of them. So I think that's kind of where I am with it. I just... Listen, it's great for views and all of that, but I don't like talking about this.
Exactly. The conversation is exhausting.
It's exhausting my voice.
Yeah, ratings last few weeks are up because I think the racing has been great, and I think controversy sells in the short term. But yes, long term, you're right. This conversation every year around the same time is exhausting to keep having, and that alone could spark an eventual tweak to the format. I doubt we'll ever see, or at least anytime soon, we'll see a complete overhaul, but tweaks here and there for sure. I do want us to move on because I want to save your voice a little, Jarrett. Can we maybe end on this? Maybe, hopefully, I would hope most of us agree, with all due respect to Kevin Harvick, his playoff idea is stupid as hell.
Oh, I hate that.
His idea of the regular season champion locking into the Final Four. So what, they get 9 weeks with nothing to race for?
It just makes the races less important for those who are really good.
I'm all for giving them a bigger advantage for sure, but like not an automatic berth where they get to take 2.5 months off. Like
maybe like any other like football playoff, like a bye into the round of 12, but not this. I mean,
yeah, I could see maybe a first round bye.
That'd be like, congrats, Oregon Ducks, you're first in college football playoffs. You go straight to the championship game.
You know what's insane about that to me is, like, if we're thinking of different years, 2004, you would have Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Jr. It means nothing for their fans to watch 3 to 9 races worth. Like, that would just completely do that again. You do the same thing this year. Like, do we really want Kyle Larson fans to tune out for 6 straight weeks because it really doesn't matter for the ones that aren't diehards to watch? Like, yeah, there's a reason maybe NASCAR wants some more of the control than the teams or drivers on rule changes. We'll definitely say that. I think that's a place we can definitely unite on. I already kind of figured this is going to be a bit longer of a show than usual because of how big this controversy has been. But what it overshadowed was Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson putting on a hell of a show at the end of that race. Yeah,
Ryan Blaney deserves a ton of credit. After the gut punch that was turns 3 and 4 at Homestead a week ago, again, in the context of this format, had a championship spot in his sights. Some say he blew it by giving Reddick the top. Others would say Reddick just went and earned it. Either way, heartbreaking way to lose that race.
Yeah.
Come back the very next week and just have the best car. And even with setbacks, the silly Kyle Busch wheel falls off, green caution. Like that cost him 2 spots. Suddenly he's 10th behind more guys with fresh tires with 80-something laps to go. It was easier to pass than it has been in recent years at Martinsville, but it still wasn't easy to just go forward. But he did. He found a way, kept his cool, and won that race straight up in crunch time. Really impressive stuff. Second straight year, Blaney has gone second at Homestead, first at Martinsville to advance to the championship 4. Does he win it all again this year? We'll talk about that later in the show. But now he is, he gives Team Penske a 50-50 shot at it. And considering their recent history, I'd give them probably a 75% shot of getting a Penske Ford to the championship spot.
Well, and I think that's where me as a fan, like, it's where it gets so frustrating about the whole system and controversy stuff is because this race for 499 laps
was a great playoff race.
Well, not just that. I think it was a great step for short tracks.
Especially, yeah, sure. Start there. That's fair. Yeah.
I've been on this show for now almost 3 years, like just pleading with NASCAR, please fix my favorite track. This is my favorite track. And I'd say about 100 laps into this race, I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, this is a Martinsville race. Like this feels like a Gen 6 or a COT or a Gen 4 Martinsville race. Was it the best ever? No. I think people are kind of overblowing it just a little bit because of how much better it was than the others. But was it, I think, a very good race? Not great, but very good? Yes. You could pass. It's always been difficult to pass at Martinsville, but you could pass. There were different lines.
Different tire strategy. Stage 2 was won by a different tire strategy.
Yes. And it's like that all came together at the end with Kyle Larson on more worn out tires, Chase Elliott running him down in the best car in the field, Ryan Blaney, running like a bat out of hell towards the front, catching them both side by side, fenders banging. That's NASCAR. That's what I tune in for each week. That's what I love about it. And so I'm just happy because tire wise, yes, I think we're working and we're getting closer to the fix. Get some stuff more with the cars. And at this point, what are you looking at really fixing with the next gen? What, super speedways? Because the intermediates are good.
Yeah, that's true. If the fact that Martinsville and even Richmond a few weeks back was serviceable, I felt like a huge credit to Goodyear. I hope that I want them to keep pushing. I hope they don't accidentally overstep. But if they do, I do hope fans cut them a break, because what they've been able to do in just a few months to, I don't want to say save short track racing, but certainly give us a sign of life. Like Martinsville Speedway suddenly looks like a real racetrack again that fans will look forward to every single year. That was remarkable. It was a great race. Ryan Blaney, a ton of credit for the drive he put on. We know those cars have been good at short, flat ovals this year, but he was just, it felt like he was in another zip code. So it was fun to watch. Felt for Chase Elliott too. Chase Elliott the last 2, maybe 3 weeks has looked like himself once again. He's looked like a championship contender, just not enough wins, playoff points in the regular season to overcome it. That's why he's out. But that's got to be encouraging for Elliott fans too, to see him actually leading. I think his 2 most laps led this year, races with the most laps led this year, were Homestead and Martinsville the last 2 weeks. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but going into 2025, championship contending Chase looks like he might be back. So that's got to be exciting for 9 fans.
I think I'm mainly concerned, or not concerned, I'm upset that Larson isn't running for a championship again, because isn't this his first year since joining Hendrick and he's not been in a championship for now?
Good question.
22, he missed it.
Okay.
Because I know he
has what,
I think
20?
he missed it in 22.
I thought he would have made it the very next year after winning it.
I think he was out in the round of 12 that year. Wasn't there
They'll
a
let
weird
us
deal
know
at the Roval?
They'll let us know in the chat. Yeah, second year of
Okay, they're
this.
saying second.
Yeah, I think he missed in 22.
Wow.
Elliott made it that year.
Yeah, what a championship slumped in. That's unfortunate.
But I mean, 6 wins this year. He had 10 that first one. I think he has he has 20 something wins in the last 4 years. Like, he is the one to beat, even if he doesn't make it. That's why they call them the one to beat, is because he is that one that you're going to have to get ahead of. But it was just screw ups, a lot of screw ups, a lot of bad luck, different things like that.
Yeah, the bad luck was the flat tire at Homestead, but no screw ups. They spun themselves out at Homestead. Bad pit stop at Las Vegas. And when you're the number 1 seed, you can afford one mistake. After the bad race at Vegas, where they didn't earn hardly any stage points, he was still plus 15 or 30 points. Like, he was still at a huge cushion, but they couldn't overcome the issues at Homestead. So that's just, it's too bad.
What I can't help but still think about is, because I know it kind of cost them in the regular season championship, but I'm like, did not getting to do Charlotte mess up his entire season now?
I mean,
he'd been a couple points closer.
He would have for sure won the regular season. That's 5 right there. He missed by 7. You're telling me that he couldn't have got
those 2 points,
one stage win at the end, or won the race, or any of that? I think he could have. Justin Allgaier was top 15 in that car. No disrespect to him.
Yeah. If it's raining come Indy 500 again, Rick Hendrick is saying, get on the plane now. What are you doing?
I wanted to confirm for you, Jarrett, 23 wins for Larson since joining Hendrick in a little less than 4 years.
Damn. So he's on an average of almost 6 wins a year clip.
Yeah, I believe you're right. He's averaging almost 6 wins, just under 6 wins a year.
Someone who isn't right now is Kyle Busch. This is the controversy that I think would have been a nitpick in general, and has now been completely overlooked. We can skim over it because I think we talked a lot about this year. So he loses a tire. Everybody knows about it. Like, the broadcast talks about it, and NASCAR still goes green. Oh, we didn't see it. How many more times are we going to do this? This is one of those little things. It's like I'm losing my faith in NASCAR running itself correctly, because they've made this, maybe not this mistake, but similar mistakes way too many times.
It's just slow. I actually thought, I think it was Door Bumper Clear this week. I listened to their episode, and I think it was either Freddie Kraft or Brett Griffin actually kind of explained the situation pretty well. the guy in the tower is probably not looking in the back of the pack at that moment. They're coming to the restart. He's looking out front. So they're relying on the folks in the corners to spot the wheel falling off. And when they see the wheel falling off, they have to radio the tower. We have a wheel in turn 3. And there's like a process where the tower comes back. I don't know, like, are you sure? And then they have to spot because the tower has to hit the actual button. So there's a chain of command. There's a step-by-step process that takes a few seconds. And that's why it looks bad in this case. They only had about 5 seconds to make the call. They didn't. It took them 7 seconds, and that's why it was screwy. I think once they put the green out, you had to treat it like a real restart. Like, I think it would have been against the rules for them to retroactively say, we messed up. No, that wasn't a real restart. Like, the green flag came out, the green lights came on. Like, it sucked for drivers who lost a position here or there. Or I think Larson took the lead from Byron by an inch. Like, it sucks, but the rules are the rules. You can't break the rules. 2 wrongs don't make a right in this case. I just think they could streamline the process easier. There needs to be more, like, the officials need to be empowered to do their job. Why do they have to, like, go back and forth with the tower before hitting the button? Why can't you see a wheel, hit the button? I don't care if you're not the head official. The head official doesn't call every offsides, every holding call. Sometimes, the new guy does, but you trust your officials to make the right call, or else they shouldn't be in that position in the first place.
And it's just, maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe they changed stuff up since, but it was, I believe David Hoots was up there, and ever since we've not heard that put it out. Like, ever since then, we've had more and more and more of these issues, and you kind of have to wonder, you don't really hear who's running stuff anymore. You don't hear this, like, are we putting the right people in the right places? Or are we doing cost saving measures for this, and other things like that? Because I know the teams do cost saving measures, but we've seen it at the racetrack. Like, we've seen long lines of concessions because, in large part, from at least what I've gathered, they don't hire enough people. And if they're doing that at individual racetracks, why wouldn't NASCAR be at the top down doing the same things with people working it? So
I wouldn't be surprised. No, you're probably right. That it's maybe newer people who don't, again, feel empowered to make the calls in the moment. And then it may also just not be enough people. I think it could be both.
If we're gonna be having these big races, they got to be called as close to perfect as possible, or people are going to start saying, Hendrick favoritism. They'll do this for this guy, but not for this guy. And it's like, you're opening that book a little too much for people to say that stuff. So it's just frustrating at this point.
You open the door up for inconsistency there. I'm glad that ultimately, one, there was other storylines to overshadow this, but also at the end of the day, I don't feel that restart really dictated the end of this race. Like, I think I don't remember if Byron ever got back around Larson, but Larson wasn't the dominant car. Blaney was still able to overcome. Elliott drove up through the field. Like, I'm glad that it didn't seem to have a huge impact on the race ultimately, but it was a mistake that they got to tighten up.
The other thing, and I know we don't have to go too deep in this because we've talked about this one ad nauseum at times.
Well, this one is a little new. I know where you're going. This is a little bit. I feel like this has evolved.
Pendulum.
Yes, like so Carson. We're talking about Carson Hocevar now. Transition. A year ago this past weekend, Carson Hocevar was a total menace in the Truck Series finale. Sort of was the culmination of all the shenanigans he'd been up to for a couple of years. Everyone came out of the woodworks to disavow Hocevar. He's not ready for Cup, way too immature, what a joke. I feel for the most part this year, he minded his business in Cup. He kept a low profile. You'd hear rumblings, this guy's racing us really hard for 27. It's kind of annoying, but like, he didn't do anything really egregious for many, many weeks, I felt, until recently. In these playoffs, which of course he's not a part of, I feel Hocevar's name is coming up a lot more. He's running up front a little more, maybe feeling a little more emboldened, but at the Roval, he spun a couple guys. I don't remember the exact number. He had a kill count at the Roval, and he added to it at Martinsville this week, spinning 2 guys out. Then he got spun at one point. He was in the middle of a few messes. What do you guys think of Hocevar?
He's been bottling it all up to now, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Well, and I'll say I think Jeff Burton was right about what he was doing, because this is the thing with Carson Hocevar, and I said this last week, is that Carson Hocevar, maybe not in results, but in mentality and maturity, and in maybe in some ways talent, he reminds me so much of 2005 to 2007 Hendrick Kyle Busch, where Kyle Busch was so talented, and we saw it on display from 2015 on. But he's so talented, but he get in his own way so damn much. Now, Hocevar is no Kyle Busch, but I think it's a similar kind of thing. And we see it again where he didn't get in his own way last week, and it was awesome. He was running up there with the best of the best where I think he truly does belong. This week, it's at the complete other end of it. I have a question, though, and no one ever put anything out there, so maybe it's coincidence, but it was just kind of odd that the moment Bell went a lap down, a Hendrick car spun out Hocevar and crapped Bell a lap down because somebody else I think did or something. There was that cut line battle with Larson and Byron. I'm like, there's nothing to prove it, so I'm not going to say that's why it happened, but it's very interesting. And I'm just saying, I saw some people raise that question. Mention it.
I had the same thought actually at the time. I also remember thinking at the time, oh, if he was really trying to help out Elliott or maybe even Larson, especially Elliott, considering his situation, you probably would have waited a little longer to spin somebody out because as it was, I think Elliott, then you had the tire disparity. Some people took no tires like Larson. I think Elliott maybe took 2. Did he pit for 4? I can't remember. But you kind of had a weird strategy. Elliott wasn't leading on the next restart. So like you wanted to maybe wait 20 laps to spin someone out if you were going to do it on purpose. But maybe that would have been too obvious. And maybe big brain Bowman, big brain Hendrick Motorsports was like, hey, if I dump Hocevar, no one's going to bat an eye. He's been shitting on people all day.
That's why Bowman's in the 48. He's smarter than all the other drivers.
Like, I'll be cheer. No one's going to cheer. They'll cheer if I wreck this kid right here, right now. I don't know. But no, I did have the same thought. I'm not gonna get too far into it. I think it is what it is.
It's one of those little things like interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it all led to Ryan Blaney and William Byron at the end of the day joining Joey Logano and Tyler Reddick in the Final Four this weekend at Phoenix, which nobody is talking about because we're all still talking Martinsville. But I mean, if we want to
Reddick, Blaney, Byron, do you just want to like quick overview? Because we're going to give our picks at the end of the show, of course, but that gets screwy because we have our little system. Logano, Reddick, Blaney, Byron. Who's the favorite, Jarrett?
Blaney. I think Blaney is.
Like if you were to rate them 1 through 4, who's like 4. Your little mini power ranking? So Blaney's 1,
Logano 2, Byron 3, Reddick 4.
I really don't disagree with that. So the only reason I thought about putting Logano at 1 because
Logano's my clear number 1
because he's had 2 extra weeks to prepare. Veteran experience, veteran crew chief.
What I find so interesting is that when we finally get to see 2022, Blaney looked faster than Logano and looked like he was just holding back to not take it from Logano. The next year, Logano's not in the championship 4, Blaney is, but Blaney still finishes second in the race because Chastain is just faster.
Yeah. Now
I'm like, what happens now when both of these cars are in a championship 4? Because we know Penske knows how to make them both fast here.
So I agree with Jarrett that I think it is Penske 1, 2. And I think I am going to put Blaney at 1 because, I mean, last year he had to win Martinsville to get in and still showed up with probably the best car of the championship 4. So he could do it again, no doubt. So I'd maybe put Blaney at 1. You know, in the 5 next gen races at Phoenix, his average finish is like 3rd. He's not won a race yet. You know, there's an asterisk maybe by that because of 2022, but like, he's always top 5 here. So championship on the line, Penske notes and backing. I think Blaney 1, Logano 2. I actually agree with Jerry. I think probably then Byron, all of Hendrick Motorsports putting their effort into that car. Reddick is probably 4th. Reddick did lead, if I recall. He led like 50 laps here in the spring. 68.
He was tied, I think, for the most laps led.
He was really good here in the spring, but you know, there's an interesting stat. In the last 9 champions, what am I trying to say? 8 of the last 9 champions have come from Gibbs, Hendrick, or Penske. But the one exception was Truex and Furniture Row Equipment. They were a JGR satellite team. 2311 is a satellite team. I don't think you could look at that 2 ways then. You could say, oh, it's really tough to win a championship if you don't drive for Hendrick, Gibbs, or Penske. But you could also say, hey, but the Gibbs satellite teams usually hold their own. So I don't know how that bodes for Reddick. I'd probably put him 4th, though.
It is interesting, though. There's finally not a Gibbs car in the championship, it seems.
First time ever.
Like Reddick is kind of similar, but not one of them. It's funny. Hendrick at one time looked like they had 4 cars that could be in the championship 4. Then one of them got out for Penske, and Penske probably seemed like everyone's counting them all out. They'd probably be lucky if they get one of their cars. Well, they got all of them in that was in there at that point.
It's pretty crazy. Someone pointed out this week, like all the talk about Ford at the beginning of the year, they had the most
They're
playoff cars
so
of any
slow.
manufacturer, and they have the most championship four cars of anyone. So,
Like
I
at,
mean,
at the start of the year, Logano's finishes were just atrocious too, just
yeah.
abysmal, horrible. He was trash, and now
Jake
here he is.
Jake in the chat rightfully calls out Eric and I. Our pick for Bell winning the title is
Yeah,
not
we
very
glossed
good.
we glossed over Bell a little bit before we move on. I
And
mean, he that was unfortunately quite the choke job. Yeah, the Chevys played some games, put him in a tough
yeah,
spot, no doubt.
Ran
But
like
I
ass.
have
yeah,
one of my championship four actually made it. That's Reddick. I had Larson, Reddick, Bell, Hammond, with Larson winning the championship.
gosh, who did I? Yeah, I forgot who I had my championship for. I think I had at the beginning of the playoffs. I think I had Reddick, and I might have had Blaney, but I know I didn't have Logano, and I don't think I had Byron.
You know what? How about for next week on air production meeting for a second? I'll try and dig out our playoff picks at the start of the year and see how close we were and like
I didn't make
champion
a
and all that.
championship four pick at the beginning of the year, I don't think. But let me see if I can find my. You can move on, but I'm gonna see if I can find my playoff
I
picks.
at least have the 16 drivers I had making the playoffs. That's all I had
Hey,
though.
I had my round of eight
There's
exactly
no
right.
particular order.
I'll hold on to that for this year. My round of eight was exactly perfect, so I'll take that.
Uh, but going on to finish it off here for the Cup recap, ratings and poll.
Okay,
If I
yeah.
can
Sorry, I
last.
had Blaney. I had Blaney and Reddick, and then I had Bell and Larson. So I got those two wrong.
So this past week, 2.5 million people watched Martinsville, so up 14% year over year, and playoffs up 6% year over year. Down a little 2% from 22 and 3% from 22 for race and playoffs, but overall, solid within the normal margins, I would say, for viewership of this race. It's going to be interesting to see how they react to what happened this week for next week. But so far, so good. As for the poll itself, 10,000, a little over 10,000 voted on it. 52% said great to 30% good, so 82% net positive, 7% average, and 11% below average bad. So I should say not 18% net negative, 11% net negative on the weekend. First comment was from 10-piece Nuggy. So positive, negative, or meme, mix of them.
I do love me a 10-piece nugget, but this is going to be negative.
I think it's gonna be a meme.
He put Bell with the buzzer beater. Oh my God. Then edit old Ricky making deals like the mob. Sad. Then edit 2. Never mind. It was like you were watching just the live reaction.
I
in
love
the
that they kept
comment.
coming back to their comment on the poll, knowing what was at stake.
I give him credit. As for the comments and gutter comments here, Josh Bob says some manufacturer shenanigans at the end there. That was his immediate reaction. He was correct. DuPont Man says the fact that Joey's in the final four while Larson's eliminator shows how broken it is. That we talked about that earlier, like a little bit with it. Joey Lagoat, take a look at what he did. Edit, NASCAR screwed this up. Both of them should have been DQ'd. Larson should be in.
Take a look at what they said he didn't do.
Jay Stevens says, so tired of the stupid ass playoffs. Brad said it best. Yeah, Brad, we didn't talk about what he tweeted, but I was genuinely surprised how lukewarm Brad normally is nowadays, that he would put something, I'd say, that hot take-ish for an industry member to put out there. Like, I was like, damn, go for it, Brad. Crouch K said it was the best next-gen Martinsville race. Tire wear, comers and goers, it's still difficult to pass, but they still could.
Yeah, that's true.
Isaiah said bad due to race manipulation at the end. This and Talladega are black marks on a great season. A lot of people talked about that. And then, of course, I have to add this one in because it's so topical with everything going on. And this is such a great account. NASCAR shill. The GOAT, Elton Sawyer comes through in the clutch with a fantastic officiating decision immediately after the race. I hope everyone acknowledges the fantastic job we saw tonight from the VP of competition, Elton Sawyer.
I just thought of something really funny. Give me a second. I'm going to look it up.
All good. Let's get to the gutter then. The Mr. Awesome says, I'm still angry about Byron being in. We honestly should just do a final 3 this year. If Byron wins this, I'm just done. And before you get to that,
these are expensive. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Before you do that, 2 more, and then I want to hear what you're laughing about. Seth said everyone knows if Bell and Byron were flipped, they would have ruled Byron in. Typical Hendrick favoritism from NASCAR. Couldn't beat the thought of HMS not being in. And Mason said, glad Chase L, like the letter Elliott, lost. So those are your gutter and all that.
I'm laughing at because the comment was, oh, Elton the GOAT Sawyer, legend, and I'm like, oh, you should buy a T-shirt or something, like he's a driver. And then I was like, wait, he is a driver. And so I went to eBay, and you can get an Elton Sawyer T-shirt. The only one I can find in my size though is being sold for $60. A little expensive for a T-shirt, but that would be funny.
I have back here. This was given me a long time ago. Tennessee Elton Sawyer starter diecast.
That's incredible.
Oh my gosh.
I just fans need to show up to the track in Elton Sawyer merch because it does exist.
You know what we
real.
should do? We should do it where we do we'll announce a year or 2 in advance. Like, hey, we're doing a meetup at Bristol or Martinsville or something. And then we just incentivize everyone to sit in the same section with Elton Sawyer shirts.
Oh, this one's sick. Wait, I found another one. It's $75. It says it's autographed. There's an autographed Elton Sawyer T-shirt. Oh, I might have to buy this.
Dude,
$75 is a little steep.
What do you guys think of that? If we manage to pull that off, where we just get a whole section of Elton Sawyer shirts.
Get the big head, Elton Sawyer big head.
That would be meme gold.
Get enough people to where we can all hold up a giant letter and we spell out Elton Sawyer in the grandstand.
Oh, that's so funny. People need to do that. If not us, someone.
We might do that if we want to really play into the bit.
Yeah.
That was, by the way, the poll. And really quick, I don't think we need to go too far in depth on Xfinity. I think that one, outside of one thing, was pretty straightforward. Eric Almirola just dominated this race. But the final 4 was set. AJ Allmendinger, Austin Hill, Cole Custer, Justin Allgaier. I would say for Phoenix, a really interesting one, but I think all of them would run up front. By the way, for the favorite for Cup, chat has 45% to Blaney, 24 to Reddick, 16 to Byron, and Logano 15% is the lowest.
You're doubting him, and he's inevitable.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? The Reddick confidence, I like it. I think Reddick would be the most interesting story, but I think he's probably got the steepest uphill battle. This my guess. Yeah, Xfinity, though, is this the year for Allgaier? I think this is his 7th championship 4 appearance. He's made it 5 of the last 6 years. Can he finally win one?
Take off the mask. It's Denny Hamlin. We knew it all along.
It's like Scooby-Doo. Old man Denny.
I would have got away with it too with a few meddling kids.
Zoink Scoob.
and your giant piece of grill tape.
But the big talking point was Chandler Smith versus Cole Custer in the fight of the century, guys. I mean, Floyd Mayweather has nothing on this punch.
I think the dumbest call of the week is NASCAR fining Chandler Smith for that.
No.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
That's not a fine. They barely touched him.
He slapped him. He went, come on. That's not, I saw people in my chat calling it a fight after the race. I'm like, stop doing that. That is not a fight. That is a bitch slap. And that's not even a good one.
It is an altercation at best.
We had this conversation last week. It's like, okay, is Chandler Smith going to have a ride? And it's almost like the stress from all this is starting to get to him a little bit.
I think so. I think there's a little bit of that. I also think on the track, if I can be completely honest, I think he got shafted a little bit. Going back to Kansas, maybe he wronged Custer a little bit there. I don't know. But in this race in particular, Chandler raced Cole clean, finally bumped him a little, just enough to get past him. Didn't move him out of the groove so far. He lost 7 spots. Just bumped him a little bit. Very textbook clean bump and run, in my opinion. And on the very next restart, Custer headhunted him and shunted him in the corner without even giving him a chance to defend it. Like, I do think what Cole Custer did, crossed the line of being a little dirty. So I don't blame Chandler for being mad. Again, championship spot on the line, future is uncertain, and then you get raced like that. Not even race, you just get knocked out of the way. I don't blame Chandler for being pissed. I'm just smart enough. I'm not a fighter, so I'm smart enough to not, throw a little slap like that. I just wouldn't. That's all I was going to do, I wouldn't have done it.
No,
He's Will
no
Smith.
one wants to. No one wants to be a fighter with a tan shirt man around. So
He's not going to let you. You can't. You're not allowed to. You can't even look at someone funny.
I know.
He's there.
I'm getting so sick of this. Like, if you want to market the fighting, let him fight. But if you're not going to fight, don't just do a Will Smith slap and then walk away and then complain. I'm sorry, he complains too damn much for me.
Who, Chandler?
Like every week it's something at this point. And I'm like, dude, just then settle it.
He gives me kind of Noah Gregson vibes with his interviews. He's not as laid back as Gregson could be, but he's got that like kind of wild look where it's like not quite sure what he's going to say. Just like it feels like he's not quite speaking my language, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a me problem. Well, I don't know.
Noah at least backed it up a little bit better. I
in Xfinity
say.
At least, yes.
Yeah. But there was that. I mean, every race had something go on because at the end of the truck race too. I mean, Eckes with a controversial move. In the moment, I was like, okay, I guess I need to watch it back just to see. But it's like I watched it back and I'm like, I mean, it's a little aggressive, but he just gave him a bump and run for the most part.
I disagree here. I think it was dirty. I think it crossed the line.
He didn't send him into the wall though, and it's like this is the way
near close to it.
This is what NASCAR has set itself as at this point. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do that personally, especially knowing the next week he's gonna probably have an incentive to get you. But it's like it's not overboard like Ty Gibbs and Brandon Jones or anything like that.
It wasn't as bad as that, but it's the kind of thing like I'm fine with the move. What Eckes did is not something that NASCAR should penalize or anything. Like I'm fine with the move.
People saying to like park him. I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah, no. I'm fine with the move as long as Eckes is fine with Taylor Gray getting him back this week. I understand that Eckes is a championship contender. NASCAR, if Taylor Gray goes out there and just pile drives him to the wall, penalize. Like that's way too far. But if he goes out there and gives Eckes a pretty hard hit or pretty, big bump, knocks him up out on a restart.
All good.
I hope NASCAR better not do a damn thing because this is the kind of incident that should be self-policed by drivers.
Yes.
So I don't mind the move Eckes made. I think it may have been short-sighted, but I hope Taylor Gray feels like he can go get him back in a similar fashion this week. And I hope he does for the sake of driver code to be upheld. It needs to be eye for an eye. I don't want guys like Eckes. I don't want drivers getting away with what Eckes did and facing zero repercussions. I want those to self-police themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's a difference here. It's like I don't want NASCAR involved. I wouldn't do it. That's personally at least what I would like my driver to do. I think it was maybe pushing a bit of the line, but not terrible. I think it's overshadowing the actual dirty move of the race with Dean Thompson, which was way worse.
Yeah, it was. What position was it for? 15th? I don't know. No,
48th. I don't know.
I don't know where he was. Maybe he was 10th. I don't know.
Just shipping guys into 3, and it's like clearly not wanting them to make the corner in any way.
Yeah,
like
I'm
with you though. I think that Gray should have every incentive to make his life a living hell if he wants to. I'd say the smart move is you get under him 3 wide on a restart, push him out of the groove a little bit. He'll fall 20 spots back. You really didn't do anything bad.
Yep.
All for it.
If he does that, I'd be like, perfect. That's self-policing right there.
And that's for 25.
Exactly. That's kind of like, I don't want to say I'm rooting for someone's downfall, but I do want to see I want to see driver code upheld. I don't want to see guys knock people out of the way and face no consequences. So I do hope to some degree that Taylor Gray gets him back in a similar fashion this weekend. That was my takeaway from trucks. Enfinger, Eckes, Heim, Majeski. Who's the favorite?
That's a tough one.
I'm gonna say this is weird for me to say. I'd say I don't like Eckes after what happened because I think that he's gonna get revenge dish back. So I'm gonna say it's a tie between Heim and Enfinger.
I really don't know on this. I think the Truck Series Final Four is probably the most well-rounded, probably the elite of the group. Like Enfinger hasn't quite put together this body of work the other three have, but these are still probably the four best car or trucks this year.
This race had so many shenanigans last year, and now it seems like there could be again because you got so many people that's upset about things. Heim's teammate doesn't like Eckes and all that stuff. But Eckes was the one who wasn't in championship before. He benefited and he won the race last year. He could win it again, win a championship. I will say Eckes is probably the favorite of this group in my opinion. But I also I'm not sure.
I think Eckes should be the favorite if not for what happened with Taylor Gray, so he may still be the favorite.
But also NASCAR might go in and warn like, hey, don't you dare mess
They
with
might. I hope they don't, but you're right. They might. Heim was in position to win this race a year ago before Hocevar got him. I know he's been a little quieter lately, but I like Corey Heim.
Hey, I don't know how long ago this was, but I was tagged about an hour ago. I didn't realize that there was radio communication from Adam Stevens. Quote, "We've been telling the 23 to back up to us."
Yeah, there was that did come out later.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that like that was covered.
Yeah.
And I hate to derail it, but I think somebody on NASCAR Reddit's watching the show because as soon as we finish our conversation of playoffs versus original chase, they put a post on Reddit about it.
Oh boy!
So that'll be fun. But I think this is probably the most wide open Final Four of the weekend. I think a lot of it is because of I think a lot of it's just truck series shenanigans. I think that's the biggest one for me.
And I just think like I think Heim and Eckes have been the best drivers this year, but Heim's been a little quiet lately. Eckes may have payback coming. Enfinger and Majeski. Enfinger's been so hot. Majeski's so good at short tracks. So it's like it all kind of evens out. You know what I mean? So I think the truck race, I'm cautiously optimistic because last year turned into a bleep show. But if that does not happen, this could be the race of the weekend.
Yeah, it can't be worse than last year, can it?
It can't. Please.
I hope not.
I mean, you got at least, I guess Enfinger was in it last year. I was about to say, at least you have a veteran in it this year, but like he was there last year too.
He got screwed last year too.
Yeah, he unfortunately. Well, he got, the seas parted for him and then he got screwed.
Yeah.
Basically.
But I think that'll do it for a very contentious Martinsville weekend.
Ooh, I can't believe we got all that in 70 minutes, frankly.
I can't believe that we're less than 150 likes from the like goal already.
Hey, and we haven't even mentioned the like goal yet. These are just our loyal, regular viewers who knew the job.
Currently, it's just a tie, and I'd be happy tying Eric and all, but I mean, it could just come down to one final show next week. We don't even have to play it today, and just. If you do that, it could be just winner takes all next week.
No, it's like you got to win by 2. This is like pick up bat. You got to win by 2. So we have to do it both weeks.
Y'all don't have to like nothing, I guess, if you don't want to play the game.
Come on, chat. Come on, they're putting bots in the chat. Come on, we need our bots to hit the like goal.
We need our bots.
If you don't have enough bot accounts,
Well, let's give
4,000 likes all of a sudden.
Well, let's give them some time to get their bots. How about a quick super chat stage break?
Sounds good.
If my voice goes out, I think you guys have access as mods of my channel to read the rest if my voice goes out.
I didn't actually know we could do that, but cool.
Bailey, for the 5 here, says the only way to prevent manipulation going forward is drivers getting suspended for a race. This 50 points feels useless with one race left. I'm kind of at that. If we're not going to change any major thing, you got to start making drivers pay for it because this doesn't feels like a slap on the wrist, at least to me. And the 64% of the chat when we did the poll said the same. Bailey also up for a 2, saying SHR doing no throwbacks is kind of disappointing. I agree. But they have been doing some other good ones. So
they've done some already. Yeah.
At the very least, I wish the 14 being Mahindra would have just rolled out looking like the Office Depot 2009 car one more time.
What one I think is underrated that I wish would be done was the Old Spice one that year was so damn good. I
preferred the Old Spice over Office Depot in 2009. Same exact paint scheme. They just changed the colors up a little bit.
And it was hot.
It looked nice.
Groovy Goose with the 5 here says NASCAR really needs to stomp out team orders in the sport. These Goodyear tires teams are just out of control. All those teams running those good years working together, and damn.
Imagine we had the ability to just have multiple tire brands, like having different factions.
That'd be interesting. What if one Chevy team has good years, another Chevy team has Hoosiers?
Well, I guess if it wasn't a tire war, then I don't know, but we'd be getting real close to tire war territory. Spencer with the 40-month member chat saying, "Man, hard to believe the season's almost over. It is almost over, but fear
Blazing
not,
fast.
we are here, blazing fast and blazing saddles."
But Jared, this is almost over too. We got one more episode this year.
Yeah, finale, your channel. So we got to show out. A couple more here. Chrome Diesel with the 5 saying, "Didn't know we were pronounced as Transformers or simply bots, according to Mike Ford. Autobots roll out." My voice
pretty good.
It helped.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
How about that? Hunter Nixon Fishing with the 10. "It's really frustrating. All the controversy and BS we were talking about after the race overshadowed the fact that this was a great Martinsville race and finally with the next gen car."
That is true. This was probably the best next gen Martinsville race I think we've seen.
2 more here. Isaac with the 5. "I said it before and I'll say it again. The NASCAR playoff legitimacy dam bursts on the scale of the TTTE episode." I don't know what
TTT.
My voice is so gone. It's starting to take away my brain power, and I can't think of what I'm supposed to see here.
TTTE. What is
episode.
Thomas the Tank Engine?
Yeah.
Is that what that stands for?
Yes, that's what it is.
Episode of Toby and the Flood could have imagined of.
I missed that episode.
I'm not as well versed. I'll finish on this one. Ross Crash Stain with the 2 saying, "Hail Bellin. Hashtag legalize wall rides." That was not on my ballot this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to vote on that proposal.
But we will push hard for that to be on the 2026 midterm proposal. We'll have legalize wall rides. I like that. Not to get too political about our wall riding here. But that'll do it. We'll get to the second super chat stage break at the end. But guys, do you hear that? There have been scattered thunderstorms all week, but it is time for the lightning round. Eric, and he still got hit. Eric got hit. He got hit the way my voice got hit. Let's get to the lightning round here. Where are we starting? Now, first off, we do, of course, and it's linked down below with the host channel. You can subscribe to both these guys down there, as well as the NWP Clips channel, where we will re-upload this, as much as I really don't want too many people hearing how horrible my voice is. I feel like my voice is like the thing of nightmares for many.
It's kind of soothing, actually.
Is it getting ASMR-y, or is it just like, gravelly?
I don't know. It's like, it's not piercing. I can't stand like a piercing voice. Someone that's just,
See, I was kind of hoping my voice got gravelly enough that people could say it was like Michael Madsen or something, No,
you're in that realm. You could pass for, yeah.
You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
I don't always drink beer, but when I do,
I choose Dos Equis. Stay thirsty, my friends. Bubba Wallace and Columbia did an awesome Star Wars partnership. Again, this time with Anakin Skywalker himself, Hayden Christensen, getting a ride around
Reddick
Phoenix.
doing one too?
I don't think so. But I got to say, I love, as a kid who grew up with the prequels, I love Hayden Christensen being appreciated a bit. He might not have been the best actor ever, but I tell you what, you look at his face acting in Revenge of the Sith, and you're like, that's young Darth Vader. I'm not even a big.
He's always going to be Anakin Skywalker.
I'm not even a huge Star Wars fan anymore, but it's just cool seeing that cool of a partnership. As a kid, that's the stuff I dreamed of.
He could get casted by Marvel to be like a super big villain or something like that, but he'll always just be Darth Vader.
I love the chat. Cars Boy says, "So did Bubba join the dark side to help Bell?"
That's pretty good.
That's funny.
I like this Hamlin fanatic in the chat. Jarrett's having his 2008 Bristol Spring DW episode. Hey, I think I sound better than DW. That DW one, that was like sounding like a monster under your bed. I mean, if we want to expand on this a little bit, just for a moment, Chase Elliott will not appear in the Netflix documentary.
Well, I'm at least not in like candid things. I'm sure
Yeah.
he'll be in there just because he's part of the playoffs, but not like up close and personal.
I'm kind of torn on it because I agree with Chase Elliott fans. He has no obligation to let extra camera crews into his personal life, and I don't think he
unless
should.
there's some kind of name, image, likeness thing that he's signed already with NASCAR.
Yeah, but I think they would be okay if it got them the exposure. My thing is like, I think that if you want to have levels of like not showing your home or something, that's fine. But I do think the most popular driver does need to be a bit more open personally. I think that, when you go into this, I get, a lot of people, they give like the Kurt Cobain argument. He never wanted to be famous. Well, that's kind of the field you go into, like as a star.
He didn't have to be a race car driver.
Yeah.
They don't have to come in and see, here I am eating cereal this morning, but like, follow him around the shop during the week or something like that, just to show more of the
work settings.
Announce of that.
Yeah, like work settings. Yeah. Like I as somebody who's like has no real opinion on Chase Elliott because I really don't know much of his personality. Like I want to learn about Chase Elliott. I want to know like what makes him tick during the week working on racing. So that just kind of sucks because that was one of the things I was actually looking forward to is like some of these guys like Elliott. I wanted to know.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And you summed it up nicely. He is not forced to show anyone his personal life. He's not obligated. We are not owed that access. But when you have benefited professionally from being the most popular driver in the sport, I do feel like there is an expectation that you should step outside of your bubble occasionally, at least a little bit, not zero. Like I made this argument on my show, and I think it's true. I think Chase Elliott has maybe the easiest job of any Cup Series driver. He has the most job security. He drives for one of the best teams. He gets to live in Georgia, doesn't even live in North Carolina. Like I think he has it easy. Like other guys driving is just half the job. So, if you already have an easy job, I feel like you should put a little bit of the work in to grow the sport, also grow your own brand, but he doesn't have to. That's his right.
I think it's unfair for me to say this, but he's the most popular driver, the first one after Dale Jr. to take the mantle, and it's like I'm gonna compare him to Dale. And Dale earlier on in his career, especially post when his dad died, was very private. And I think both of which are shy people, but at the same time at the track, Dale Jr. did open himself up a bit more to media than I think Chase Elliott does.
Dale Jr. swore up and down he would never get on social media, and now he's borderline like addicted to it.
Well, and that was older, and I do think Chase will open up more as he gets older. It's just that's the thing with Chase Elliott is from an outside perspective, as someone who's not his fan, I do kind of question, like, other than his name, like, why do you like him? And it's not like a disrespect thing or anything like that. It's just I don't see enough of Chase Elliott for me to form an opinion on him. And I'm curious. I am genuinely curious about who Chase Elliott is and different stuff he likes to do. And I know they showed some stuff in the race for the championship, but who really watched that?
I didn't.
I'll
give him this. I'll give him this. There's an argument to be made that he is one of the most genuine drivers in Cup because he is true to himself. He's not hamming it up for the cameras, for his sponsors. He just does his thing. So I think that's part of what makes him endearing to fans is that he hasn't adjusted because he's a superstar or stock car driver. Like he just is him, and that's it. What you see is what you get. I think there's something to it. Like that's kind of refreshing to see from a quote unquote star athlete.
And I'll finish on a positive note because I know some people might be thinking I'm bashing him. I'm not. When he lets his personality out, it's awesome. Nashville, when he won that race, we were all sitting in the media center getting stuff ready, and he was doing his presser, and in front of all the people that work at the track that handed him the trophy and all this stuff, he's like, yeah, this isn't even the track around here we should be going to. We should never go back here. We should just go to the fairgrounds. And I'm like, where is this Chase Elliott every week? This is awesome. Like more, please.
Or when he came back from the crash and won the Roval, he gets out and it's like, like doing this.
I'm telling you, when Chase Elliott lets out the badass, it is badass, and it's like that's awesome. I just wish he'd have more of that, man. And I think he will over time when he gets more comfortable with it. Other stuff here, we talked about it earlier. MTJ is going to be throwing it back to 2004, his first official start, not the filling in for Dale Earnhardt Jr. side of it, but hey, we even got a almost E on the side of that car.
We got the spikes instead. That's what we got.
Yeah, which it still looks pretty good. Forza and NASCAR have reunited with the latest update on Forza, so that's pretty cool. A lot of people were looking at that the other day and liking it. This one was out there. We talked about it a little bit. NASCAR fined Ty Majeski for missing media obligations. Turned out he was voting. It's not illegal really for them to do that out of the states that they operate in, and he could have also done so early. But it was an interesting story where it's like, wow, never heard or thought of that one before. Yeah. And then last thing on the racing front here, Shane Van Gisbergen, I guess, is pushing to attempt the 24 Hours of Daytona this year.
He would do well in that.
I'm very interested in that. Next week,
I'd be interested to see him and another trackhouse driver, like maybe Chastain, get involved. Does the Ganassi still have a team in that?
I'd assume so. I don't follow close.
That'd be neat to see those two get involved with Ganassi.
The France family put him in like one of the Action Express cars just because it's good publicity. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe
how it works.
Now next week will be on your channel, Eric. Not on my channel. Your channel. I miswrote that. But November 13th on Eric Estep. Not this channel. Eric's channel over there. Will be on there for the finale of this. So come all. If we hit the 600 like goal next week and hit the rest of the 500 like goal this week, which we are less than 100 away, we're 91 away. Maybe that means just getting rid of the like goal forever. I think that's what we agreed on. So just saying.
Was I part of that conversation?
Pretty sure we agreed on that, but the chat is holding us to it. So we're holding the chat to getting that done. One more thing, I want to put this out there before it like gets out there out of my control to put out there. Quick little life update on my end. So I've been holding on to this. I think hitting 9 weeks on this point. But in happy outside of NASCAR, just life news on my part. I am going to be a dad.
Baby Berg.
Yeah. My fiance Marissa and I are welcoming our first child in the world next June. So I wanted to put that out there before like people are like, wow, what's going on with like these pictures? That's kind of weird. Is this happening? Like I just want to put that out there now. We're really happy. Everything's going well. 9 weeks, I think, at this point. So early June, little Lundberg, little Iceberg is Ice Cube.
You should put a poll and see if the chat thinks it'll be a boy or a girl.
Sure. Ooh. Why not?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, congratulations to both of you. I know that you've been excited for at least a few weeks now, obviously, since first finding out. It's awesome you get to share it on the show.
Yeah.
Before the season ended. What a great timing.
Yep. Little Ice Cube coming soon.
I love that. That's an Ice Cube.
But which will it be? I'm just happy. I'm happy that everything's going well and everything like that. And I see the chat is very going nuts too. And
if you're excited for this, give us a like.
That's good. That's good. I gotta write
the most YouTuber pregnancy announcement of all time. Smash that like button for 9 weeks.
And for the next 7 months. Let's see what we got going on.
How do we top that?
Well, they're leaning heavy on, they think it'll be a boy. So that's 72-28. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it. I'm not naming. No. Trust me. We very early on. She shot down anything of a Jarrett Jr. And to be fair, I never put that out there. Yeah, I made a joke. I'm like, hey, we'll call him JJ. And no.
Just call him Ice.
Now that the news is out, I can talk about, I sent Jarrett a thing I saw on Twitter a few weeks back where there was a trend going around where people mooed at babies and it made them instantly cry. And I was like, let me moo at your child.
To which I said, go for it. Yeah, just go moo.
No, you said get in the back of the line between me and my wife.
And I guarantee there'll be more, but I was like, go for it. Dale is also not going to be on the names list.
Wait, you could name the middle name could be Jarrett, so you could go Dale Jarrett.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think that if we're gonna name this baby after anyone, I don't think that Riss is gonna want to name it after 2 NASCAR drivers and me when she had to hold it in there for 9 months.
No NASCAR name, no football name, no political name. No,
he's like, maybe a
nothing
Minnesota
weird.
Viking name though. Justin Jefferson.
Somehow they win the Super Bowl. We're naming it Sam. No, I'm kidding. I'll be honest though, because we're probably gonna be pretty private on it. I do want to put that out there. We're probably gonna be very private on social media,
as you should be,
about putting pictures, name, anything like that.
You don't owe it to us to put the baby on Netflix, and
I might talk funny stories.
Even though you might be the most popular podcast host,
I'll show up, like baby will be born on a Monday. I'll show up on the show Wednesday and be like, guys, I was so proud, 2 days old. This baby's already saying the playoffs suck. Go to Winston Cup. And I'm going to have a tear and everyone claps.
You should listen to the American Walmarts and Milton Valenzuela Jr., Kirk Cousins Lundberg.
No, I don't want to set them up for like crippling failure when it matters most.
Damn.
But yeah, so there's that's on the horizon. Maybe we'll do some kind of gender reveal on the premiere next year.
You could I don't know. I was gonna say someone said you call them, just get rid of the Lund in the last name, just call it Iceberg. Like,
God. I don't think I have a big enough shadow for them to live in. By the way,
someone's already telling you how to parent your child, telling them to make sure they sit down and watch the Cars movies.
Well, that should be required, or else Uncle Danny B is going to ensure of that then.
One way or another, they'll watch the Cars. We got a lot of movies to catch them up on. They got a whole lifetime to catch up on movies. But
you're going to be showing them the prequels at age 2-3 years old.
Nah, you got to wait on that one.
I will say this right now, though, since you live in the great state of Tennessee,
they're not going to be Vols fans.
No, I'm not going that direction. Whether they want to or not, you should just go ahead and buy them a lifetime hunting and fishing license while it's like $300, or else if you want a lifetime after that, it's like thousands of dollars after that.
What is this?
Idea.
What is this?
Well, we'll talk more about this after the show, by the way, because we do have a full NASCAR show people are coming in for, and I don't know if my voice will last long enough, but 71% think that this will be a boy. So
someone said name him Gazoo.
Bill Gazoo Lundberg.
Yeah, we know you love that name. Yeah,
Gazoo. I can't even do the joke now with my voice. All right, let's move on. But thank you, everybody. That is a very fun lightning round. I had to write the timestamp because Riss wants to go back after she gets off work and watch this over. So that'll be really fun. It's gonna be really fun when people who like had no idea of watching it or like listening on Spotify and they're like, "Oh, cool, get to the NASCAR stuff."
Congrats on baby Gazoo.
Well, it's funny. We had like a 2-minute conversation once about dinosaurs, and there was like this one stickler on Spotify being like, "I didn't come here to listen to dinosaur stuff. I came here for NASCAR." And it's like, I mean, if you think about it, there's some fossil fuels in your NASCAR race cars, so it's all dinosaur stuff when you think about it.
It really is when it's all said and done.
But what it really is kind of all turning into is court updates at this point. We're like kind of mini court TV with 2311 and Front Row versus NASCAR and Injunction Gate, to which we have, as of what I can tell now, no updates unless it's happened in the last hour.
I haven't checked my phone in an hour, so I don't think there's still any. It sounds like a decision on the injunction is expected by the end of this week. Does not appear to have happened as of yet. So
I just like
still waiting.
I like the MJ. I'm ready to win a championship this week. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't go against a confident MJ.
Oh, he's confident. That was a hard.
I kind
quote.
of imagine, not just in the national level, but on smaller levels, so many elections and stuff may have something to do with the governmental processes being held up just a smidge.
Just a little bit. I don't know whether or not, like, the judge, it sounds like, has worked with NASCAR before or on some things.
There was a report that originally this judge was going to excuse himself from this case, and they're going to have a different judge because I think he said like his secretary or former secretary maybe used to work at NASCAR, and so if you've been to jury duty, they always ask you if you have any like loose connection to the case that could disqualify you. So this was maybe, something in that vein, but apparently the teams signed off and said, no, you're good. Like, you're fine. Well, like, we're still okay with you being presiding. What's the word? Presiding over this case. So yeah, there were no phones, no cameras, no real-time updates during this first or during the hearing on Monday. But it sounds like all the reports coming out of it are that both sides made good points. It kind of could go either way. The teams are ultimately focused on that clause in the new agreement that would force them to waive their rights to sue NASCAR if they wanted to participate in the Cup Series. According to reports, whether or not they're chartered or unchartered, they still have to agree to terms that say you can't sue us if they want to race next year. So they're really attempting to get, at the very least, that part waived as this court case is ongoing. But best case scenario is that the judge full on grants the injunction and they get to keep their charters or actually sign the new charter agreement minus the antitrust can't sue us part. And they could at least go forward, business as usual as the case is ongoing. That's best case. I don't know if they'll get that. I feel like, and I'm no legal expert, it feels like they'd have to be granted the waiving of that section 10.3. Like I don't see how this case even continues if you don't waive that part of the agreement or of the terms. So we'll see. I'm no expert, but that part at the minimum seems like would get waived. Do they win the overall injunction? I'm not sure. But this is just step one of the whole process. This isn't exactly the case itself. It could indicate where the case is headed, but this isn't the deciding moment of the whole court case. That could take still weeks, months, maybe years.
I'm just happy because I made a prediction that they'd somehow take NASCAR to court, and I finally got that right.
Yeah, they had the images. I was actually kind of shocked. Monday morning, after getting eliminated from the playoffs, Denny Hamlin is in a suit and Jordans walking up the courthouse steps in Charlotte, North Carolina, with Michael Jordan on one side, Jeffrey Kessler on the other, Bob Jenkins flanking them both. Another image comes out of Jim France going in the front door. Like all of the who's who of this contentious saga was in a courtroom Monday morning, face to face, lawyer versus lawyer. Like, man, a lot of NASCAR media, it sounds like, sat in on it. Wish I was there for that. That would have been interesting. I know nothing about legal proceedings, but that would have been fascinating to watch. We'll see where it goes from here. We'll see what the decision turns out to be later this week.
Yeah, and God, it's just between this and what happened at Martinsville is like, I hate saying it. It's like the championship race and the finale has like become such an afterthought, and we got plenty to cover on it too.
And did we mention earlier that all the teams are appealing those Martinsville penalties? So that decision is going to come later this week as well.
I'm sorry, not 2311. I just gonna have a laugh when I saw RCR. Like, it's just always like, we are highly displeased. I was like, of course you are every time. Yes, you are.
No, I have the same thought. Anytime an RCR like graphic appears on my Twitter feed, I can't help but laugh a little bit. Like, it's just they take themselves so seriously.
Do they talk about the timing about any of it?
I don't know, just something about their logo mixed with like, we are very displeased. Just I don't want to sound like a hater. It just makes me giggle.
It's such an unserious race team when it comes to these things.
They just take themselves too seriously, and it kind of blows up in their face.
Well, it's like in a movie. It's like a comedy, right? Where you got like, the straight man, and then you got like the person who just takes himself way too serious, and that's the whole joke. Like, they're the joke. We're not laughing with you guys. We're laughing at you.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Yeah, where's the post? Yeah, no, yeah, they literally post just a big black rectangle with a little RCR logo in the middle. So it's like taking up my whole screen as I'm scrolling. And then on the top, it just says, Richard Childress Racing is disappointed.
Like, you feel like you're just like, you're like, oh, this is going to be the biggest announcement ever. Oh, no.
It's like our toaster stopped working. It's like, damn, really? You had a presser for that? Like, we all know that it's fine.
The intern burned the coffee this morning.
RCR is disappointed to announce that we requested an Uber Eats order of McDonald's for the team today of McFlurries, but the machine was down, so they refunded our request and we did not get McFlurries.
They do something like at American Airlines, our baggage was misplaced, but they still have the giant Richard Childress Racing like logo posted.
The timing couldn't have been worse. By the way, just letting everybody know, we are 48 likes from the like goal and about to head into our prediction and accountability session.
They don't want to play. I've been trying to tell them,
They're afraid of us.
Fine. If they want to skip it one time, I get it. Not this week. They're just not feeling it.
They must be tired. Need a bye week, I guess. All right. Suit yourself, I suppose.
Well, let's run on into it here. For our prediction segment, just to kind of run it down. I'm going to move a million things at once here. Each host will make up to 3 NASCAR, motorsports, or show-related predictions. We'll keep track each week of the right and wrong answers, and we will keep predictions kind of concise within 2 to 3 years of the prediction. One thing is, going into next week, I'm going to make the cutoff Tuesday night just because we're going to have a ton of predictions coming off everyone's board. And I really don't want to have to change every single graphic for like one 5-word prediction. If possible, we'll just let it roll over to next year. Thing is, with next year, we can start adding our career numbers so we can combine this year and the next and stuff like that. Works better than pick points where there's a championship involved. But as for my accountability here, it was rough. One of these is just a really big prediction. I said 23-11 would take NASCAR to court. They since have in some way. I predicted wet weather tires would be used in at least 3 races in each of the top 3 series. I believe Cup had 3, but the others did not. So for those who say I don't go off on a limb, there you go. I said the 2025 Daytona 500 will be sold out by my birthday. It was not. I also said either one or both of the drivers, Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin, would miss the round, a round or the Final Four by a margin of either for Larson, the regular season championship, or Denny Hamlin, the penalty that he received.
It was very close for both, though. You were only a few points off on both.
So damn close. But they're probably breathing a sigh of relief on that. And I also said someone would spin off the 81's bumper in Xfinity. Not number, bumper. It's been a long week.
That's okay.
Eric,
I'd be impressed to spin off the number, in all honesty, though.
We've seen it happen before. Jeff Gordon off Dale Jr.'s number 88 in 2012, I think, at Bristol. Eric, mixed bag here, said Ty Majeski would make the Final Four in trucks. He did.
I predicted that a while ago, not just like last week.
Yep. You said someone below the cut line would win the Martinsville Cup race.
Nearly every year.
NBC would not have a fully dedicated segment to
hot dogs.
To hot dogs.
They showed them once going to commercial is what I saw, but it was not like,
Can you tell I was just a little tired last night getting this done?
A dedicated segment to it. What is it?
What is it? If anyone knows that song. You said Christian Eckes would make a 2024 Cup start. He will not.
Why the hell did I say that?
It was very early in the season.
Man,
you said
right.
Josh Berry would win Rookie of the Year. It's mathematically impossible for him to get ahead of Carson Hocevar now. You said Corey Heim.
Real quick. Josh Berry has had a terrible 2.5 months. He was, remember, right at the end of the regular season, he was 19th in points.
Yeah,
he's 20. He's 27th now, or maybe 26th. It's bad. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
This next one's hilarious.
You said Corey Heim, Christian Eckes, or Ty Majeski would miss the truck Final Four.
They
all made it.
I was thinking one of the big 3 would get upset by a Nick Sanchez, but no, there you go.
And then you said Dennis the Menace would make the Final Four in Cup, and Denny Hamlin did not.
I really thought he would be the heroic one this weekend, not necessarily Blaney, but way off base there.
Danny, you said 2 or more Cup playoff drivers would finish off the lead lap Sunday. You got that correct. That was the only one. You said Raising Cane's would sponsor a Cup car by the end of this year. They did not.
I'm really hoping for that.
They're sponsoring a track this weekend.
Fair enough.
I had Canes yesterday.
You said by the time of the Vikings-Titans game, the Minnesota Vikings would acquire Jeffrey Simmons. They did not, which I'm fine with keeping the draft pick. Chase Elliott and William Byron, you said, would not make the Final Four. Kyle Larson would be the only Hendrick driver in. Switch Larson and Byron, you would have had it. And then you said a train would be seen on the broadcast of the Cup race.
If I would have just said it would have been shown by NBC, I could have got it right because they had a YouTube feature on it.
And that leads us to the final week of the prediction percentages here. I'm leading at 44.16, Eric at 32.63, and Danny at a 32 flat. So I still have a lot to come off the board this week compared to you guys.
I feel good about my picks this week. I feel really good.
I think I do too.
I do too.
I am going to say this for my first pick. There will be less cautions over the entirety of the weekend combined than 2023. Last year, there were 24 cautions over the whole weekend. We, of course, have a guaranteed 6 with the stages. So I don't think we're going to have, I think we're going to have 23 or less cautions this weekend.
That's not a bad pick. Probably will. I can't imagine the truck race will devolve quite like it did last year. We'll see.
What Xfinity can get crazy.
The Xfinity could get crazier. We'll start with Xfinity on my pick. I don't know who will be on the board for me when we make our actual race picks a little later on, so I'm going to hedge my picks here by saying I think Eric Almirola for Joe Gibbs Racing will win the owner's title in the 20 car.
That's pretty fair. He's been really good on flat tracks this year. I'm gonna go ahead and take this one, and I don't know if anyone's already said this, so my apologies if someone has, but I'm just gonna say, in terms of NWP pick standings, I think Eric will finish second once again.
Oh,
Oh man,
brutal. Oh man. Let's see what I got. I think in some way, I think NASCAR will change the format by 2026, whether it be a tweak, a big change. I'm leaning towards tweak right now.
By 2026.
Yeah, by the end of next year, I think they will. Even if it's just like some small thing or like some kind of buffer to try and get team orders out, something like that, some kind of rule change.
All right, my next prediction, this one's a little out there.
Uh-oh.
So on Friday morning, Steve Phelps will do his annual State of the Sport address. My prediction is that at some point during that press conference, he will use the infamous line, "We like what we're seeing."
Oh my gosh.
that I think that's like it's out there.
He might he might say like, "We like what we're seeing in terms of our talks with new manufacturers." Like he might use it in like a sentence like that, but that's my prediction is he's going to use that quote at some point during the conference.
What if he's like a variation of his like, well, we've actually been impressed with things that are happening.
No, I think it has to be pretty much exactly how it's written. We like what we're seeing.
I won't make it a prediction, but I'll off the record guarantee you he'll say something of the playoffs are working or working as intended or something.
We like what we're seeing with
the. Have you also noticed every year?
Phelps also likes to do the thing where he asks himself rhetorical questions. You know, he's like, "Do we like how the playoffs are performing?" Yes, we do. Like he does that a lot. I've noticed.
And
kind of funny.
Yeah, and then here I am in a car and talking to myself. That's chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Steve, stop asking yourself questions. Stop saying fetch. Fetch is never going to happen, Steve.
All right, for my second one, all three races this weekend will be won by a driver in a championship 4 versus last year only one was.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I like that.
God, I have 2 left on the board here. I think I'll go for it on this because this is not a guarantee anymore. I get last year trucks, it happened, but it's not a guarantee at Phoenix. There will be 1 or more overtime finishes this weekend in the finale because we don't always see it in the lower series and we rarely see it. I don't think we've seen it since moving here to Cup, but I think we're going to have an overtime finish in one of them or probably 1 or more at this point.
Okay. All right. Whoops, my screen just went weird. Oh no, what is going on? Sorry. Get that away out of here. Maybe I should have saved this for next week, but I'm going to go ahead and burn it now. Holidays are coming up. We won't be doing shows in December, but my prediction is that all 3 of us will receive a NASCAR themed Christmas present.
Oh, that for me is always a layup.
Yeah, I feel like it's 50-50 for me because I don't have like a favorite driver anymore, so people don't usually, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's my prediction.
My family's always big on like, give me a list. And I'm like, you can just give me money. I don't care. Like, I don't need gifts. And they're like, give me a list. So I just think of like 10 things I guess can bullshit that I'm like, I guess I kind of like that. And I always have at least like one, Elliott Sadler, 2004 diecast.
Jared's going to be going around asking all of us, what did you get for Christmas? What did you get for Christmas?
I expect to see your list.
I got a question on this one. Should we count the Dale Jr. late model Budweiser car? Because everyone's been asking if I'm buying it for myself, which makes me think somebody's going to get it for me.
I think that has to count.
It counts.
Okay, all right. I
honestly think I don't think I got any NASCAR gifts last year, so
I don't think I did either. I don't anticipate any this year.
All right. Well, we'll see. Hopefully I get this.
I need some more stuff that's related to the house. I need a new drill because ours like dies after only.
If it's a DeWalt drill, it counts.
It's an Alex Bowman drill.
If it's a DeWalt power tool, it counts.
No, it does not. Stop that.
Craftsman counts.
No.
It's the Craftsman move of the race of the offseason. With Mikey, Danny Dye.
Hand delivered by Michael Waltrip.
With Danny Dye. He'll call you, he'll be like, your name's Danny? That's like Danny Dye. We're totally like just stalling for your next prediction.
Oh yeah, it's mine, ain't it?
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr. will lead at least one lap in his final race at Phoenix.
I hope so.
That'd be good. I hope he at least gets some time up near the front.
Even if it's just staying out during pit cycle, he'll lead at least one lap.
And we're, at least on my end, only 25 likes away. So we might actually be ready to go for the random
Let's get it.
driver.
We're 22 away, 21 away. Let's do it. Let's start a countdown like it's New Year's Eve. In 20. Oh, there we go. Okay,
He's 20. 20, the 30. He's got nothing but daylight.
Can we get to 19? 19? Guys, it's frozen on my screen. This isn't working.
Yeah, it's
19. There we
got
go.
20, 20, 20, 19, 19, 19, 18, 18, and we got 18, 18.
21. We already knew this would be a long show with everything that happened before. Don't make it longer by having us beg. We got to beg and gaslight at this point.
Don't make me show you the pick points, Chad.
And now we have 17. Do we want to make it 16, 16, 16? We need 16 now. We're at 17. We need 16. And we got 16. Jumping into red. Oh, now we got 486 now. We only need 14 more. 14, 14, 14.
They're gaining on the 500 like Ryan Blaney was chasing down the lead at. I'm trying to keep this NASCAR related, folks. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best.
You almost started to like get yourself like this. I was like, Vince Welch, is that you?
I was turning into Chris Collinsworth. Here's a guy.
Here's a guy, isn't it?
Who needs to hit the like button.
But you know what he's not as good at is the great all-powerful Patrick Mahomes.
Do those videos keep showing up in your feed too? Oh, I'm so sick of them, but they're funny as hell.
The one with the Vikings and the Chiefs, where it's like the all great and powerful Patrick Mahomes has decided that both quarterbacks will be thrown out of the game, and that one player will be killed and executed in the other team. They're choosing number 18 of Minnesota. Chiefs win.
Yeah, it always looks so real too. I could totally see like my grandparents getting faked out by something like that. Wait, what does the NFL come to?
Oh my God, they execute them now?
Hearing you say like falling percent, I saw like a TikTok where one time it was like, I think it was like a Hispanic grandmother. They were showing her just like clips from Grand Theft Auto, and she was like freaking out like it was the real news or something.
I've seen that too. Yeah, some of that could be just believable enough. Oh my God, we're less than 5 away. 5 to go.
The only thing that's not believable is the fact that we haven't got the like goal yet. Let's just do it.
For the great and powerful Patrick Mahomes.
I say we'd be generous, just give him $4.99. Get $4.99, and that's the new like.
Aaron's $4.99.
They'll get there. Here's a guy who can get the like goal if he just sits
here's the guy.
Closer. What's funny is that like everybody else is a like ahead of what my studio app is showing on here.
$4.99.
There we go. The pressure's on who will be lucky number 500.
Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, we went down. $4.97.
Oh, that's tough. You hate to see that. No, get him out of here. Boo this man.
That's the bots. That's the bots leaving.
Oh, yeah, bots. So you're always stuff with some
we're
bots.
We're going down more. $4.95. There's playing with us now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just skip it. Then I don't want to do it
with their food. Yeah, honestly, I'm good with skipping it.
Let's just go to the weekend preview.
Yeah. Y'all chose not to play it. That's fine. I get it.
Finally, we'll have winner take all next week. Hopefully.
So Phoenix this coming week. We're looking at a couple different people in the Cup race that are not the normal ones. We got Jimmy Johnson, the 84, SVG in the 16. Jeb Burton's back. Look at that.
That's
We're at
500.
Okay.
Wow.
It worked. They hit it.
501. Dan Jarrett, the ultimate gaslighter. Wow.
All right.
Clean.
Let's do it, guys. Hide the chat. Random driver of the week. Second to last one, hopefully, of the year. Let's get it. Tell me when you're ready.
Hold on. Yep, chat's gone. We're good.
Yep.
Awesome. Good stuff.
I'm on a win streak, right? I've got like 2 in a row.
So you two are tied at 13 on the year. Eric is on a win streak 2 in a row. Got Dawson Cram last week. Morgan Shepherd the week before.
I'm blowing it.
Danny was 5 and 4 weeks ago with MTJ and Lee Petty. Wedged in right in between him. Connor with the quickest one ever of James Hilton in 3 guesses.
That's still insane.
Yeah. I give him credit. So
he should win this year just for that one performance.
Jarrett needs to open up these hints of like, now here's a driver.
Well, let's get going. Here's a guy who was born in Richburg, South Carolina.
Richburg.
Yes.
Okay.
Good for him.
This random driver started their career racing in dirt track races.
As most do.
This random driver's career was plagued with injuries, mostly broken bones and a lot of concussions.
Unfortunate.
This random driver's NASCAR career lasted 27 years in total over the series they ran.
27 years. Wow.
Yep. None of us have tweeted about this random driver before.
Good luck, Danny. We're going to need it.
Oh my God, there's already people that got it in there.
What?
I know.
I guess if you're from South Carolina,
idea.
maybe if you're from South Carolina, the hometown helped give it away.
This random driver's career best in the Daytona 500 was a 9th place finish.
Respectable.
Yeah, not bad at all.
For the first time all stream, I'm like feeling a cough coming on. This random driver's only attempted 8 Daytona 500s and ran in 6 of them, DNQing the other 2.
Okay.
And they had 27 years worth of racing.
Yeah, so this must have been okay.
This random driver was the first NASCAR driver to win back-to-back Cup championships.
Oh, that should be a giveaway, but I don't know who it is. No,
They won back-to-back Cup championships.
Yep.
But only ran 6 Daytona 500s.
Mm-hmm.
When was the first Daytona 500? Like 1960, 59? I forget.
Somewhere in there. I'm not going to give it away fully. This random driver was one of the people who leased Airbase Speedway to NASCAR. Track made famous by our good buddy Slap Shoes.
Yeah.
I don't remember that detail of it, though.
Did you hear that Slap Shoes' damn legitimacy quote got used by Denny Hamlin this past week in Action Detrimental?
Yeah, they referenced it.
This random driver was one of the people who leased and then sold the old Charlotte Speedway to Bruton Smith. This random driver was the driver credited with the win in the race that Wendell Scott actually won. This should be the giveaway.
It's a big name too. Who was that? It wasn't Cale Yarborough. Where's Cale Yarborough from? Is he from South Carolina? No.
Go and speak out loud if I were you.
Yeah, I don't think that's it. It's not him. Oh man. Okay, keep going.
You ready to hear the numbers this random driver ran? Because it's a lot of them.
Yes.
I'm sure it was.
06, 00, 13, 14, 18, 31, 33, 41, 42, 47, 55, 58, 59, 65, 70. That's the first line. 74, 86, 87, 88, 89, 93, 300C, 301, 303, 500B, 501, and 502.
Beautiful.
Definitely not Kale because I didn't hear 11 and 28. So
I feel like that didn't actually help. Well, yeah, it for sure eliminated Kale, but I feel like that almost hurt.
yeah, I'm still not as close as I should be.
Who was the
These-
first
these are some
back-to-back
good hints.
champion? Lee Petty. It wouldn't be Lee Petty. He
We
went
already did Lee
back-to-back.
Petty. Danny got Lee Petty.
Oh yeah, we did. Well, he's also not from. I don't think he's from South Carolina. I don't know. Keep going.
This random driver ran in these OEMs: Kaiser, Ford, Chevy, Oldsmobile, Hudson, Lincoln, Cadillac, Buick, Chrysler, Dodge, Pontiac, and Plymouth.
Oh, did he drive a Hudson Hornet? Maybe it was.
Well, I will not say whether or not. It was someone in the chat put Zimbumafu.
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. I just liked that show as a kid.
It's a good name too. All right, keep going.
This random driver started the racing school that Jeff Gordon trained at.
That's a good
don't know
fun
that
fact.
detail.
Yeah, like that's a good fun fact.
Tyler Dotson actually said this random driver was born down the road from him. Thank you for the super chat.
Cool.
This random driver is the father of a longtime NASCAR TV personality as well.
I'll just say it, Ned Jarrett.
No.
Okay.
That's one off.
Oh
the
wait,
board
he's
for
the
Danny.
it's one of the it's oh shit, I always get it mixed up. Wait, who's the father and who's the son? Buck Baker is
Is that
the
your guess?
dad. It's Buck Baker.
Correct. Eric got it.
Okay, yeah. Woo.
Yeah, Buddy Baker, former NASCAR driver as well, was his son.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Eric's on 3 in a row there. I'm looking at.
Wow. I should have known that he won back-to-back championships. I knew he drove. Yeah, the cars, the era. Isn't he also the reason I know a little bit about Buck Baker, because wasn't he really tall? Wasn't he like 6'5"?
I know Buddy was known as the Gentle Giant.
Okay, maybe I'm getting them mixed up again. I do get them mixed up quite a bit. I couldn't remember which was which for a second there.
So his win percentage on his career was 6.7%, which is pretty good for NASCAR drivers. And he's in the top 20 of the all-time wins list, I believe ranked 18th overall with 46 career wins.
Wow. Cool.
I really should have known that. Yeah, I wasn't in it on that one at all.
So Eric's
That's a tough
taking
one.
the lead, and now Danny's playing for the tie, or Eric can
So
run
yeah,
away
I
with it.
can't. I've dominated most of this entire season. I can't win it. I can only tie.
I'm Joey Loganoing it.
This
down the
is why
stretch.
this is another segment. We'll just do the all-time numbers added up with it.
Yeah.
And we'll show the season, but we'll always have the all-time. Now we will officially head to Phoenix here. I mentioned it earlier, Jimmy and SVG are racing, as well as Jeb in the Amerivet 50 Cup car. They make maybe 3 races next year, I bet. If they make more, I'll be
Maybe not even
surprised.
that.
As for this weekend, on Friday night, we have the Craftsman Truck Series finale, or as NASCAR calls it, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship. 150 laps, 45, 45, 60. The breakdown of stages, 8 p.m. Eastern Time start time instead of like 10 o'clock at night like last time. FS1, Fox Sports app, and MRN Sirius XM. That's where you can watch and hear it. Christian Eckes, your defending winner, looking to be on Friday night, a 71 and clear night, 1% chance of rain. The Xfinity is the NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship, 200 laps, 45, 45, 110. The breakdown, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, start on the CW and MRN Sirius XM. Cole Custer, the defending winner, 75 and sunny, 1% chance of rain again. And then on Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship, 312 laps, 60, 125, 127 for a 3 p.m. Eastern Time start time on the NBC channel and NBC Sports app, MRN Sirius XM, 75, sunny, 1% chance of rain, and a defending winner of Ross Chastain. Before we go to the pick points, I do want to mention one thing. This is the last full-time race of Martin Truex Jr. Looking back on his career, what are you going to remember MTJ for?
That 2017 season was always special. It was sad being a junior fan and watching it come to the end for him, but to see MTJ, who was kind of like a diamond in the rough that Dale Jr. first helped find, see him finally come to fruition after the ups and downs of his career. Seemingly lost it all due to Spingate, forced to go to what we all saw as a loser team, and that team made the right moves, progressed into a championship caliber program, and to see it all capitalize that season, that will always be a very special season watching all that happen, I think.
I agree. I think 2017 is the year everyone remembers, but like you said, Danny, the years leading up to that as well. They had Kurt Busch for that season, made some noise, but they stuck with Truex for several years, went from being a 20-something place running team to a championship 4 team to a championship team. And yes, they had the Gibbs alliance. Yes, Cole Pearn was an evil genius, it seemed, but that still was the whole group deserves a lot of credit. And Truex obviously was at the focal point of that. What I think stands out about Truex is you look at him and think of him as this cool, calm, consistent guy, blue collar, but other drivers have said that he just naturally is extremely talented. I think you could almost align him kind of with a Kyle Larson in that respect. Like he obviously has put the work in, he's obviously grinded it out, but I think he just naturally had a gift for feeling the race car out more so than other drivers, and it's carried him for much of his career, especially the later part of his career when he's still been competitive, even in his late 30s and 40s. So I do think Truex, hard worker, but naturally more talented than people might give him credit for at first glance.
I think for me, I'm gonna remember Truex as just one of the greatest comeback stories ever. Like, and just his early career, he looked to be more or less a lot of people's words, a bust, and ended his career completely proving that wrong and living up to his potential. So I'm definitely gonna think of him for that, for sure. Really quick before we go to the pick points, people noted it's true Derek Kraus will be in the 16.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think one of the entry lists I looked at was wrong. Then that's on me. I should have verified.
You're good.
As for
he got his stuff from fake news, unfortunately.
Fake news. As for the pick points, get ready, chat. You might not like what you see. Eric has taken the lead heading into the finale, 527 points. Chat.
You can tell he doesn't want to be there right now, not going to this one.
Yeah. Chat -1. I made up a ton of ground this week, winning Xfinity and Cup. 2 points back. Danny -23. You'll have to sweep, but you're still in contention. All 4 of us in contention to win it. And I'll say this: I don't think anyone saw me coming behind you, but I've been right in that mix all year. All it took was one good weekend.
For the past several weeks, what have I been saying as me and the chat have gone back and forth? I keep saying, going into Phoenix, I want to be second, 1 point back. Maybe, actually, no, where I want to be is where you are, Jarrett. Third, 2 points back. Jarrett is the Joey Logano this season. He's done absolute squat for 34 weeks, but all of a sudden, he's the championship favorite going into Phoenix because he gets to pick before you guys and he gets to pick before me. And only 2 points. It's basically tied. So you guys would think I'm celebrating right now, having the lead going into the final week. I am devastated because I am actually in the worst possible position to win this championship. If I finish second again, I will be inconsolable.
Here's the good thing for Eric going in. This is where we got to get the tiebreakers put out there in the ether right now.
Okay.
So Eric and I are tied for the most total wins. So if I do get more wins this weekend, but tie you, Eric, I would win. If we're tied, then it goes to most cup wins, which you have locked that up over me, and you have way more wins than the chat, who has 10 to your 13. So you do have the tiebreakers.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. That does make me feel a tiny bit better, but not much better.
Yeah,
I still
Eric
feel
has
crappy.
the tiebreakers going into this weekend. So chat and I do have to perform more. Chat, I do want you to remember, as much crap as you give me, I am the one who has also been the inaugural champion of this. So I do know how to win these things every now and then.
What's wild about this is even if I swept, I would still have less total wins than Jarrett and Eric have right now, but I could still statistically win the title if I just swept this weekend.
This is so exciting.
It's very possible. 31 is the most points you can have.
In some ways, I actually like this position because there's not much pressure on me. You guys are probably all going to take the picks I want, so I can just take who's left. And it's just, I'm just going to ride or die. Just going to see what happens. I'm just going to sit back and hope for the best.
Well, let's get to it then. Danny, start us off. Who is your pick to win the truck race?
I have 5 truck wins, which is tied for the most. I've been pretty good at picking this, usually thanks to this guy here. He's coming clutch for me a lot on short tracks, including last week. And I'm going to stick with Christian Eckes. He's pretty good at these flat tracks. I'm not too worried about Taylor Gray. think NASCAR is going to step in this week and say, don't get in the way of this championship.
All right. So you took out my common sense pick, to which I'm going to have my outside the box one. And this is leaving some good ones open. I'm going to go Lane Riggs.
You
The
know,
Truck
I
Series.
knew someone would, and I almost considered he might spoil it.
The Truck Series is not a series that has the winner take the championship every year.
That's
The
true.
38 car has been damn good in this race in the past, and he has turned it on at the end of the year and has been really good at these flat, short tracks. So I'm taking a risk, but I do believe in this risk.
I didn't love how he ran at Martinsville. Where did he finish at Martinsville? He was like top 10, I think.
I don't agree that Martinsville is as much like this as like Milwaukee is much more like this.
You're probably right.
Of all the
but
races, this is the one where you can most afford to take that risk. So
I'm gonna take it because you know what? For me, I've had to scratch and claw my way back all year and make a comeback, so it ain't the end of the world.
So the
Chad
chat
is
is
going
making
Heim.
it pretty clear what they're doing. They're going Heim time.
All right, so who you got, Eric?
So I actually get a choice here.
There's some pretty good ones.
Oh man, I have so much. I think Grant Enfinger's awesome. I love everything he's done, especially late this season. But Ty Majeski at a short, flat oval. Give me the man from Wisconsin. I'll go Ty Majeski.
Can you imagine if Enfinger does win this thing? And
I'm
we got
kind of
that
rooting
story.
for him in a weird way. Yeah, man.
But it's also like I'm not sure I can fully count on this team to win a championship.
Mhm.
All right, Xfinity. Chat picked Heim, by the way, for those who didn't see.
Dang. Okay. All right.
Xfinity, Danny.
This is the one I'm not confident down. I wrote 3 drivers down, questioned them all. I wouldn't be shocked if Eric Almirola or Chandler Smith spoiled the party here, but I'm going with my gut here and saying that Cole Custer will go back to back. Kind of like Stenhouse fashion when he went up to Cup, he won back-to-back championships, and Cole Custer is leading the Xfinity Series once again, this time as a back-to-back champion.
I think I'm actually taking another risk again here. Then I am going to take Chandler Smith. I think he's somebody who can spoil this thing up, which I think means that the chat's
He did
picking
win here
Allgaier.
earlier in the year.
I think he can do it again, and it looks like the chat's taking Allgaier.
Oh, really wanted
That's
Allgaier.
risky, though.
He had this race won in the spring and blew a tire. 7th championship appearance. He's gonna get one of these. Shoot. Well, okay. So I could take what playoff guys are left? I could take Austin Hill or AJ. I don't trust either of them, frankly.
Austin Hill just doesn't strike me that he can. This is not set up for him to win.
This isn't his type of track. No. Allmendinger could surprise people, sure. I guess I'll go with Eric Almirola then. I made that prediction earlier. I think of those available, I think the 20 is the best. So I'll go with Eric Almirola.
Yeah, that's why I had question marks next to those two, but I'm like, you know what?
I feel pretty good that I was hoping for Almirola or Allgaier to be available. So I'm feeling okay.
When I've got the number 1 pick, go with the gut feeling. Cole Custer feels like he'll win the championship again and win the race.
It's not a bad pick at all.
So who's going to suck in Cup?
Since he's not even competing for a championship, Denny Hamlin. What more does he have to lose?
And he is pretty distracted this week.
Yeah.
I'll go Alex Bowman. He's not very good here.
That one time when he first came there, and that was it.
I think the chat's going Jimmy.
That's not cool. That's unfortunate.
That's just low fruit because he's so low on the totem pole.
I really didn't even give this any thought. I will go Larson. I don't think he'll be in the mix for the win. If this was a championship race at Homestead, I'd say, yeah, even if he's not in the championship for, it'll be like 2017, 18. What was the year he was running down the leaders? Was that 17?
17.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Larson. Dark
I
horse.
think he was in the diapers car just watching him from behind.
Dark horse, Danny. Who do you got for it?
Kyle Larson.
I'll go out on a limb and say Carson Hocevar. He's either going to get into people or he's going to run top 15. Chat, who do you got? Are they going with me on this one?
Maybe they are.
This isn't
Looks
important
like it.
enough to have a poll for it.
This one's a little random, but I'm gonna say Austin Cindric. Penske's so good here, and I think they're gonna try to like use him as like a
Yeah.
reference.
It's going to be
for
like, oh no,
young
we
guys.
accidentally put all the good stuff in your car, not theirs.
I just think he was good at Martinsville. Didn't he finish like fourth? Am I crazy?
He won Gateway.
Yeah, he's good at these, and
That's what I mean. I think he'll be top 10.
and that leads us because Hocevar is their pick. So who is going to win the Cup race and maybe, depending on our pick, the championship this
Ooh, this is
weekend?
exciting. Moment of truth.
I was stupid to not go with my gut at Vegas. I said if he won a race, he's in this championship he will win a championship, Joey Logano.
To which
Okay.
I got my number one pick. And this guy has been better than Joey Logano at every Phoenix race between the two of them. I think he has the momentum on his side. He's just reliving 2023. Ryan Blaney. I'm picking him 2 weeks in a row.
The chat wanted him so bad.
Yeah, I am definitely going to be picking that one because
Yep.
they're like, we
Man,
need a
that
poll.
might have
but
that
I
could just
think
won
you
you the
basically
title,
just need to
Jared.
give him a poll between the 45 and 24 now.
That's the way is like, if Blaney wins, I just need to stay within 7 of whoever the leader is heading in and I'll win it. I think they're going Byron here. Oh, Byron,
no, look
Reddick.
at all the 45s. You need a poll. That is
It's
not
pretty. I
definite.
think it's 50-50 actually.
That is not
Alright.
definite whatsoever.
Are we just doing this where basically whichever one loses the poll you're going with, Eric?
Probably. I don't feel confident about any non-playoff guy. Maybe
All right.
Chase Elliott, honestly, how he's been running lately. But nah, I'm probably gonna pick whoever they don't pick.
Don't doubt Ross Chastain. He did it last year.
Like I said earlier, I got nothing out of everything's out of my control. I'm just going with the flow, hoping for the best.
Here we go. Larson or Reddick takes the early vote here.
And Jarrett said he thought that it was a 24.
It was definitely close. It's still close. Very close. Give him like 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah. It's like 4%, 6 to 7% from that midway point, but they're straddling it.
It's starting to pull away a little. I think.
I like this revote. Like what? The same people? It's going to be the same damn results.
Yeah, what do you want?
Demanding a recount.
Some of you guys are like, no, we need to add the 20. The 20 was not in it as much as
We are
them.
still waiting for the chat from Montana to come in.
We're still waiting for Alaska.
Gosh. All right. Well, I think they've made their decision.
Yeah.
Reddick it is.
They're taking Tyler Reddick. Y'all are gonna make me pick William Byron.
You don't have to go with him.
But like, I probably should. He was top 5 in this race last year. He's won here in the next gen. I mean, it's not a bad pick. I actually feel fine picking William Byron. It's not who I wanted.
Okay, Braden Bush is pretty good. It said it's Scott rigged.
All right. I'll take Willie B. The most controversial guy this week is going to erase all of that and put it behind him and win the title. I'll take it.
He would be the
24 and 24.
He is the only other Hendrick driver to make the championship and not win a championship yet. So,
All right. I think that just leaves a little less. Night's pretty much done. Super chat, stage break. So
Let's do it.
let's roll into it. Bobby Blair with the 5. The MTJ throwback is sexy. Sorry, that's the only word to describe it. You're right. You're so
Fair enough.
right. Tony Z with the 5. Lame penalty. Each team should starter next season. Grammar
negatives.
people. Grammar people. Each team should start next season minus 150 points. This is getting old.
what?
I left in 2016, came back in 2022. I'll do it again. End key partner deals.
The key partner stuff. I don't know how you can interfere with that. I'm just laughing at like the goofy meme. I'll do it again.
Let me do it again. Bryce dislocation Sizemore with the 20. I said this in Eric's post-race review, but this is the worst sport to crown a champion. I know that it's negative, but that's the truth. There are solutions, but they won't do anything to fix it. I will still watch the sport. Under that logic, that's probably why they won't stop. They won't fix it because people will still watch. I mean, the data doesn't necessarily go too far for saying that most of us diehards wouldn't just stick around. Lawson with the 10. This all began as a butterfly effect with Bowman's DQ and Logano getting back in. So I think the penalty fit the crime for Toyota and Chevy teams. I would be interested how the points would all be if Bowman were in instead of Logano, and the other open spot for points wise would be there, and what Larson and the Chevy teams might do to try and get Larson in over Bell. That'd be interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Fun hypothetical.
Chris with the 5 says playoff solution. First 2 rounds as is. Next, reset the points and let them race the final 6 races, Winston Cup style, elimination by math. Nice and fair. I mean,
so like have like the final 8. It would be for the final 4 races, I guess, then.
Yeah. And then,
I mean, sure.
I think you're just running into the same problems though if the championship is close.
Yeah, or it'd be the I mean, yeah, it's always possible.
Wizard King Nick with the 5. Everything's great. Looking forward to a fantastic week at Phoenix. Fantastic weekend here at Phoenix. Back to the racetrack. I like that one. Gavin with the 28-month member chat. I need a break from this sport. Hello, off season. I feel like this is one of those years that many are just like embracing the off season coming up.
It's been fun and wild, but I'm
haven't really noticed. Like I have just not put out many videos, mainly for a few reasons. One, I just work a lot during the day, so it's hard to focus on my own stuff when I'm editing other people's content. But also, this year has just not been it for me. I just have not been happy as a NASCAR fan because of just all the extra BS of this season's just been putting me down. Honestly.
It's draining. I think it's draining for a lot of fans.
The Sunday afternoon has been so fun. But yeah, the rest of it's
sorry. I've found better things to do with my time than just focus on a sport. It's just making me mad this year.
Looking at some of the other things here, NRF 8 with the 37-month member chat. Honestly, I've been tuned out since Darlington. Crash Travels USA for the 5. In January, I bet my brother $100 Blaney would get 6 wins. This was 3, and he lost the lead on the last lap 3 times this year. Insert "this is fine" meme.
Close call. Not that close. That was a bold bet you made.
Yeah, very bold.
This is a teaching moment, perhaps.
Antar Das, very strong take here with the 2, says NASCAR needs to die. Illegitimate format. Damn.
Wow, Antar Das has been watching.
I mean, I'm a little upset, but I don't know about that upset.
He's probably like, drastic times call for drastic measures.
Someone's got to pull the plug.
Ryan, thank you for the 5. The answer is to eliminate both Chevy and Toyota from the Manufacturers Championship. Then also take Hendrick and JGR and RCR and Trackhouse from the Owners Championship. I'd probably get the message across.
Things. Yeah, but now you're basically saying Ford, you win the title.
Yeah,
the owner's title, which pays the money, is locked up, and that's not a good headline.
Aiden with the 5. Chandler Smith missing the championship 4 is just as bad as Larson missing, in my opinion. I do wish he were there because I think he would have made a much better championship fight than somebody like AJ Allmendinger.
Or Austin Hill, for that matter. Hill has the most wins of any Xfinity regular this year, but 3 of them are super speedways. So, like, not saying he's obviously earned all those wins. He's good, but like I don't think I'll be shocked if he contends for the title Saturday. Like, seriously, Chandler Smith will be in the mix. So Chandler only has 2 wins though. He's been very consistent, but he's only a notch better than Sheldon Creed in that respect. Both of them have had more opportunities to win than they've been able to follow through on.
NASCARson here with 2 of them, 1 for a 5 and 1 for a 10, saying, hey, NWP guys, Martinsville, Truex, Eckes, and Gray arguing was awesome. Xfinity, Chandler and Cole arguing and fighting was awesome.
Man, this person's bloodthirsty.
Maybe not fighting, maybe slapping. Cup, best short track race in a long time, terrible post race. And then says, NWP guys, I will be at Phoenix Championship this weekend. Hope to see you, Eric. Anyone else going other than Eric? I am not, and I don't think Danny is either, unless something changed. But
Might see me.
Have fun. It sounds like from what Eric who told us and what some others have. I think isn't John going with that weekend too? I know.
Yeah, we talked about not carpooling, sharing like a hotel kind of deal. I don't know if I got to talk to him, but yeah, no, hopefully there'll be a few other people there. No, Phoenix is a really good facility. Racing is mid, but the city's cool. The facility's great, so I think you'll have a good time.
Go to that restaurant that's hanging by a crane over the racetrack. And
if they have that this year, I'm going to try my best to get in that line.
I'm not. I hate heights. And
I do too, but
I am terrible with them.
But I just I don't know what I find myself when I'm at the racetrack. I'm just like open to anything. I'm just like excited to do anything that's granted. Like I just think that's hilarious. Like the idea of saying, yeah, I had a meal 100 feet above a racetrack is like too much to like pass up on.
It's pretty cool, but I'm humans.
I will be terrified if that happens.
I couldn't do it. Bailey, thank you for the 5. Chase Elliott gives vibes off when he retires. He's going to disappear like Edwards did. He'll come for his Hall of Fame stuff, but stay away otherwise. I wouldn't blame him.
Probably true. Yeah.
Bobby, thank you for the congrats. I appreciate it. And I will pass that on to Riss as well. GN NASCAR fan with the 5. MRN Radio's Jeff Striegel will broadcast his last race Sunday after a 28-year career. Loved his calls in person at Auto Club and with Barney, Joe, and Alex.
Yeah, another long radio career coming more or less to an end.
His last season got overshadowed a lot. And don't get me wrong, Doug Rice did a lot for the sport, and that's not to take away from him at all. But I'm surprised that more people didn't talk about Jeff Striegel walking away.
Because I feel he's still maybe I'm wrong. I thought he was still going to be involved in some different things in some capacity, but I could be wrong. I know, doesn't he still like operate? I think I learned he operates Berlin Raceway up in Michigan. I think I don't know what his exact title is there, but I know he's very big up in the Midwest. So he'll still be around. I presume.
Bobby Blair with the 2 says this show is turning into NASCAR Law and Order. We would use the sounded track, but apparently people that use that get nuked from the internet.
Wow.
They're very particular about that.
Who would have thought that Law and Order is very strict about the law?
Dumas RLC for the 2 says a Faith No More epic reference. Have this $2. Yes, I love that song. What is this? Scrapyard 24C for the 10. My long-term prediction is that Legacy Motor Club will be gone in less than 5 years if things don't improve. That's the thing about legacies. Not all of them are good.
I could say that, sadly.
That's a wild quote there at the end. That goes hard. Yeah, 5 years. 5 years is a long time, but that's certainly possible.
My dad left it too, saying "Epic" by Faith No More. That's right. I'll probably be listening to that when I drive over to the hotel to see him. He's in town. We had a very fun time last night watching glasses be put on and off. Danny knows what I'm talking about. BG WX Chasing for the 5. Happy late birthday. Thank you. Yeah, my birthday was on Friday too. I've been having a good week. Mine's the 4th. Well, happy birthday to you. Also very happy I left the Gazoo comment earlier. LOL. Congratulations to you both. Thanks for another good show. Again, I will pass it over to Riss. And thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Wizard King Nick in the chat, referring to the not all legacies are good, says that's senior quote material, and I agree.
Oh yeah. I mentioned this earlier. Tyro Dotson said Buck Baker was born down the road from me. Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Shorty PJM left a 1026 and a 1022 here for 2 super chats. 1 of 2. Already celebrating the championship a week early. Love all 4. Best ever championship 4. The twin and I will be celebrating at Olive Garden. Nice.
Oh, nice.
The Olive Garden. Plus, I legit called the 22 Vegas, 45 Homestead, 12 at Martinsville. I remember seeing you in the chat calling those. Shorty PGM got those immediately.
Shorty knows Will.
very much.
As some would say.
Also, I'm laughing at they must be DQ'd and suspended just for manipulation. It'd just be another rig attempt for Larson. Just admit again, admit he again caused his own demise and get over it. Jolo for the third. No, don't get me wrong. He blew it in this past round. Granted, he was racing hard for the win, so I can't say that like he was out of contention, but I just don't like the manipulation side of it.
Shorty followed up, said, "We're gonna get the never ending possible, and if Jolo wins, Sheil, as in the cousin, will be on the last podcast with them."
Nice. Bobby Blair with the 10. Truex's
Or,
career.
sorry, the twin, not the cousin. I don't know why I said cousin. My bad.
It's all good. It's late. Bobby Blair with the 10 said Truex's career is literally movie material, from literally being at the lowest of lows in 2014 to the absolute peak of being a champion 3 years later. Most underrated driver in the last 10 years. It really is movie material, and I love that he was able to do that. Jacob with the 5. Danny and Jarrett, I'll be coming down to Nashville from Minnesota for the Vikes game. What is one restaurant I have to go to while there? Skull.
Well, first of all, you could see me. I'm not sure, but you might
We'll be
see
there.
me there.
He'll have a bag on his head.
You'll see me because I've made the executive decision, Danny. I'm not going to do a full like Viking logo one. For those Viking fans in the chat, I'm going to do a full John Randall like face paint get up. I'll show you after the show. It's badass, but I'll do that in purple.
But basically, just make sure you're following us on Twitter to see how we looked that game.
And yeah, I mean, hey, if you see us, we'd love to meet up.
As far as the restaurant go, though, I mean, got to go with some hot chicken, stereotypical. I'd recommend either Patty B's or Party Foul. Those are my two favorites.
I'll go with that too. Denny Hamlin's unwanted dog for the 10.
Oh,
it won't happen. But wouldn't it be funny if Reddick wins, Hamlin rubs it in NASCAR's face, and then with no charter, Reddick signs with another team that makes the announcement before he can tell Hamlin?
I don't think Reddick's gonna leave 2311 this year.
I think
don't know.
I think that's lawyer talk.
Yeah, I just even if his income takes a small hit this year because there's charter implications, who knows? Like, you still have a cup ride for one of the best teams, championship contender. Like, I think you hope for the best that everything works itself out by 2026, because you give this ride up, you may not get it back.
There was too much done to get him out of the RCR deal early to screw this up.
Someone said the timing could not be worse.
I want to call this out real quick, Napa Racing fan. I do not think that Sam Darnold is better than Kirk Cousins. I would rather have Sam Darnold because he is cheaper than Kirk Cousins and statistically has done better than Kirk Cousins this year. D. Moran with the 1 month member chat. At least Aaron doesn't have to cheer for two drivers? Do you mean?
I think they meant Eric.
They mean me?
Eric? I don't know.
I can be Aaron. Oh, no, I think they're talking about Aaron Blaney.
Oh,
Having Blaney and Byron in the championship for again, but is that confirmed that they're not dating anymore? Or is that just like weird
that's
NASCAR gossip?
I'm pretty sure that's a thing, because remember that was that picture floating around where Byron was just like hi and some random girl's comments.
Dog.
He's down bad. He's mentally in 25.
He's mentally. If we were like First Take, we'd do a whole segment about how Blaney or Byron's not locked in mentally ahead of the championship, and he lacks that Mamba mentality.
Did you see that on like Sports Center? Their leading football comment into the week is, what do the Cowboys have to do to turn the season around? Nothing. They suck.
They're 3-5. They're not. I don't even know. Are they last in their division? Probably no.
No. The Giants are
probably
still around. Alessandro at the 10. Congratulations on the big news, Jarrett. We are fine. Yeah, we do not need to ask personally how we're doing, but we're fine. I will not go in depth on that stuff. Also salute to MTJ in his final ride. Yeah, we're ready. Bobby Blair with the 5. This season has been exhausting. It's the first time I've been excited about the off season. I do admit I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, I need a few months to just like get ready for 2025.
Yeah.
NASCAR with the 5. Jarrett, thanks for broadcasting even with your health. No problem. It's fine. I feel fine. It's just the voice.
I'm just impressed. I am impressed you've gone 2.5 hours and your voice is not given out. When my voice is scratchy to begin this show, I barely make it to the end. You have been a trooper.
You're still not as bad as I was that show when I had the ear infection and sounded so bad. So, but
we're almost to the end here. This is the last super chat. My favorite Martin Truex Jr. memories was 2016 600 destroying the field and the LA Coliseum in 2023 in person. That was an ass whooping. I remember getting all excited because it was right after I graduated high school, and the 600 had been pretty badass the year before. It was like Edwards and like one other driver doing the fuel mileage, and I think like Kenseth and Junior and a couple others were on a different one charging at the end. It was like a really good finish. 2014 was pretty good, and I was like super excited. We all went up to my grandparents for the holiday, and we're like, this sucks. And now I actually appreciate like how dominant it was.
Yeah, it's one of those races you appreciate years later, but in the moment you're like, oh God.
Yeah, in the moment it sucked, but years later I'm like, I'm glad I got to see that. Like that's probably the closest I'll get to seeing like Jeff Burton lead flag to flag New Hampshire. Like when Denny Hamlin led all but one of the first like 384 laps at Richmond in 08. But that'll let me double check, just make sure. I think that'll do it. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. Thank you, Voice, for sticking with me. We'll be live next week on Eric's channel for the finale. 600 likes to go to get Random Driver as a permanent segment. So should be fun.
We can do it.
I think
I want to give one quick plug. If you're going to be at Phoenix Raceway this weekend, I believe, I was texting people today, not 100% confirmed, but I'll put something out tomorrow if it is. I believe Brendan Poole and I will be doing another live show at the NASCAR Experience stage, 2:45 on Saturday. So if you're at the track Saturday, it'll be a couple hours before the Xfinity race. Stop by. We'll be just outside turns 3 and 4. So we did one here in the spring, which was pretty cool. Hopefully we get a good turnout, have a fun time doing it again this year. So hope to see y'all there.
That should be a lot of fun. So be sure to check that out, everybody. I'll be live this weekend on post race, whether or not the Voice is there or not. I will be there. Let's see. I think I got everything good to go. I think we're good. All right. See y'all.
Good show, folks.
Goodbye.
Drivers!